she died pretty quickly after being kidnapped. That if we had a time machine and could go back and do that case again, it would have been wise for the sheriff to not.
Do either of you guys have any information or opinions about the Nancy Guthrie case?
This woman had serious health problems, and she was an elderly woman. So I suspect what happened was she died pretty quickly after being kidnapped. Then they find themselves with the dead old lady on their hands.
And now they got a real
that they can't monetize. I also think that if we had a time machine and could go back and do that case again, it would have been wise for the sheriff and probably the FBI, to the extent that the FBI was involved at that point, to not publicize her kidnapping for the first week and sit back and see if somebody calls with because what happened is as soon as they publicized it, it wasn't that they didn't get a ransom demand, it was that they got 1,000 ransom demands from Nigeria, and I want you to send the Bitcoin to this Bitcoin wallet and I'll release her. And I don't think they ever had a chance to really separate the wheat from the chaff to find out what was real and what wasn't. And but I understand the instinct of your mom's gone, let's get it out there in the media and get some leads going. But
they can't follow up 1,000.
In a kidnapping situation, it's best to chill for a little while, even if it's just 72 hours, and see if a ransom demand comes in that then you could take action with. You bargain with the person, you don't bargain with the person, you set up a sting. And so those are kind of my two hot takes on it. One is I don't think she survived. And the other thing, I guess, is that Ring doorbell video that came out. I don't know if it was the brand Ring or some doorbell, Microsoft or whatever, doorbell. That person's clearly like an amateur, like the way their gun was hanging from their armpit or whatever was not a person who actually carried a gun. This person's not former military, definitely not former police, and clearly like an amateur and not someone who's familiar with weapons.
So you think some idiot kidnapped her?
Yep.
And then there was a whole bunch of there was a whole bunch of press. He got scared, and it's a combination. She died very quickly.
Yeah.
And then he probably buried the body somewhere out in the middle of nowhere, and he's just hoping none of this ever catches up with him.
It's got to be.
Right.
All right.
There's no way he's carrying and feeding for this woman for 8 months now or however
long.
Well,
and she's got medication and all the other things that she doesn't have.
This woman had serious health issues.
So I was going to say the other thing is that crime will probably get solved, but that'll be 10 years from now when he's told somebody in jail doing whatever. You know what I'm saying? They'll tell him, will that be guaranteed? Maybe, maybe not. Did they find the body? If it's solved at all, but it probably will be. It's just that's one of those things that it's 10 or 15 years when they tell a girlfriend or a friend or somebody in prison or some stupid.
Yeah.
Matt, on a scale from mildly shady to federal time, how would you rate Tom's private investigative tactics? I don't know why you would know, but
I don't know.
Any tips from your con days that he should definitely not use? So I don't
know what that. Yeah.
It's not like you. I don't know.
I mean, he has yet to show up and tell a story where he failed miserably. He always ends up getting kind of a confession. Most of the time, not always.
I got some. In the next episode, I have a story where I failed miserably.
Oh, okay.
And I did tell the story when I failed to catch the Demetrians. Miserable, and that was a miserable failure.
Didn't they just end up on the
FBI's most wanted list?
Mm-hmm. You missed the boat. The FBI's has now a top most wanted fraudsters list.
Really?
Yeah, with eight people on it, 2 of which are fugitives that I failed to catch. So,
wow. We'll definitely have to talk about that.
Speaking of most wanted, this is a good time to bring it up. Matt and I are trying to build a most wanted list.
Yes, that's right.
Of guests. Yeah.
I have about 13 or 14 to give to a headhunter to track them down. He told me, he said, I can't guarantee that I can get them. He said, but I'm going to get them on the phone. I'll get a no from you for you at least, which I think is that's hard. Like just getting some people on the phone, getting in contact with them. He said, I have yet to find, I think he said there might have been one person that he said he could not get on the phone.
Huh.
And so I had a list. I ended up with a list of 12, maybe 14 people. And I just wanted to be able to hand him 20 people.
Are these sort of dream guests or literally people you can't locate?
No, like Jordan Belfort.
Oh yeah.
No. He's not an investigator. He's not going to track down, like the guy Jim Keegan, right? Which, by the way, Jim Keegan. If somebody knows a guy named Jim Keegan, what's funny, you know what the problem with him being a con man is? He doesn't go around telling everybody he's a con man. So people that meet him think he's like a regular guy, and then every once in a while he disappears, goes into prison for 4 years, and comes back out, and he relocates and has a whole new group of friends. So they probably don't even know he ever went to prison because they probably didn't even know him as Jim Keegan.
I used to play tennis with a Jim Keegan.
Yeah, and it's a common name too. But
Yeah, Irish.
but I love his story. It's so funny because as a con man, he's probably constantly trying to cover up.
He had a
the
case in
story.
Orlando, right?
He had one in Orlando. He had one in Chicago. No, I think he's had a couple in Chicago. But that one case that you're talking about, which was the immigration fraud, that's nothing. That's one of the most recent. There are multiple cases.
Yeah. And you don't know where he lays his head at night right now.
No, I can't find him. And he just got out of prison maybe a year, 18 months ago. Like literally when I started looking for him, he had just gotten out.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I'm trying to build a list, like, Jordan Belfort, right?
Yeah.
We tried many, many times to get in touch with Belfort, and he's never returned. At one point,
Frank Abagnale, or no, you don't care about him?
No, I'm not really interested in Frank Abagnale because it's such a controversial
what's
subject
true,
about what's
false.
true and what's false.
Yeah.
Yet we've got there's a bunch of guys, right? But it's kind of like who it's hard to get in touch with them, hard to. And I used to think that Belfort wouldn't do the show. Like he was distancing himself from crime altogether, and that's what I told myself for probably a year or two, saying that's why he's not returning calls. That's why he's
Does
not.
he do shows?
He does, and then he did Vlad. He did Vlad, and I was like, he just did Vlad. Like,
Are you a bigger show than Vlad?
no, thank you. No, Vlad was big when he was already had a million plus. I don't know what he's got now, 5, 6 million, 10 million. I don't know what he's got.
Tom,
Yeah.
what is the most creative crime that you have been impressed with, if any? Thanks. And that question can really go to both of you guys. So the most impressive creative crime that you just...
Impressive creative crime. In the Ponzi schemes I investigate, the ones who actually create like a website and a lot of really good collateral material to make them look like they're big shot investment people offering investments. That's always kind of impressive. And as a private investigator, I've investigated several of those people who now with social media, people who have this massive social media presence. Like we did that story about the guy who's the bull, and he was in like the manosphere, and he was teaching me how to have high testosterone, and then you can invest money with him and all that. Those guys, I think, are really impressive as far as they putting the work in to kind of create an image for themselves that's so lofty that I look at that as much better than somebody who's just like stealing purses. I walk away kind of impressed with the backstopping they did. When I did undercover work, it was always very important to be backstopped and make sure that you had a fake Facebook profile and that you had a yearbook from a high school you didn't go to on the shelf in your at your house if someone grabbed that when they were coming to visit you in your undercover house. Stuff like that. The backstopping people do. Con artists who do that.
What kills me is the guys that do all of that, but they use their own name.
Yeah.
It always I was doing something the other day, and the one about the guy who did the water.
Yeah.
Remember
the Wanu water guy?
Yeah. But I mean, the most of the Ponzi scheme guys that I've noted, not the ones you just mentioned though. It's funny because those are like true Ponzi schemes. Most of the Ponzi schemes are the guys that start a fund legitimately, and then 3 years later they have a bad quarter. They lie about it.
They fall ass first into a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
That was the majority of the guys. Those guys aren't impressive. But the ones who actually like set out to build like a whole fake infrastructure for themselves, I give them a...
I mean, to me, if you at the very least used a different name.
Yeah. I did a story, I think I told it very briefly on the show in the first couple episodes about a guy named Perry Griggs. And he was the con artist who ran a Ponzi scheme from inside the prison walls. And if you wanted to go to a show, our mutual friend Jerry, she has a podcast called FBI Retired Case Review, and I did an episode. There's an episode on that, and I also did an episode on American Greed on this guy Perry Griggs. He was the best con artist I ever investigated. And so there's a podcast called Retired FBI File Review or Case Review on Spotify where I tell the story of Perry Griggs, and he was super impressive. While he was like kind of on the run, he walks into a golf shop with no money and walks out with like $50,000 from the guy who ran the golf shop because he could talk to people and separate from them their money so quickly.
Tom, what were your original thoughts on going on the show, knowing Matt's past? It was a question that was asked.
So I get contacted to come on the show. I look into it and I'm like, oh, this guy's an ex-con and a former criminal. I didn't really look at that because I honestly never treat people. it was never a personal judgment with,
Yeah.
with even the criminals that I investigated, but I just wanted to know, what am I walking into, right? Is this going to tarnish my reputation,
Right.
or am I going to be? Are you and I going to come on the air and we're going to fight, or something weird like that? And so I saw that Jerry Williams, who I knew casually and had been on her show, and retired FBI agent, had been on your show, and so I contacted her and said, "Hey, I was approached by this guy Matt Cox to do his show. Any downside?" And she was responding to me. She goes, "Do it. It's a great show. He's a great guy. Do it." And so I accepted the invitation. We did our first episode together, and the rest is history. Was it 3 years ago at this point?
And you know what that makes me think of is like when we originally went to CrimeCon, we're like, was it worth it? You know what I mean? But it's like, had we not gone to CrimeCon, had we not met her, we wouldn't have got that interview.
Oh, yeah.
And we would not have, like, it's funny how these things, some of these interviews, you're like, that interview
From small things,
wasn't
big things
great.
come.
But then it's like that interview leads you to the next one, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's funny. It's like it's kind of like the one sub at a time. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm joking around saying, or I'll meet somebody and whatever, and they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I do this." Well, you got a sub. You got a sub, and it's like how silly. It's one sub. It's one sub.
Yeah.
But you don't know that person may get you 150 subs.
I
That
agree.
may be a super fan.
Yeah, I go live on TikTok and Instagram every now and then, and you don't get big crowds there. You get maybe 50, 60 people if you're lucky, but one guy watching that decided to book me for a series of speeches, and which is going to be a tremendous amount of money in my life. And so the hour I spent answering questions on TikTok, while my family may
Right.
look at that and say, "Why is Dad doing that?" Ends up putting bread on the table.
Yeah. We gotta have Jerry on. We need
We
Jerry to
have her
come
in person.
live.
Yes.
in person.
Jerry's great.
Yeah.
She's got stories.
Yeah, she does. She's one after another. I mean, all she did was white collar, right, for like 20 years or something.
Yeah.
or for a significant amount of her career.
Yeah.
All right, I got a few
And she's
questions.
very happy.
Oh,
she's very
written books.
bubbly,
Yeah.
very happy.
Yeah, she's a good author.
I have a few questions that are donations or statements, at least $5. Mom, didn't want you to know, but you are my father. I don't know who that's to.
It's definitely him.
Go ahead and scroll down. Tom, do you think plea bargaining is flawed when prosecutors threaten harsher penalties?
No.
It seems like even innocent people may plead guilty to avoid greater risk. Thoughts? $20 donation.
If you plead guilty to a crime you did not commit, you are a fool, and then you are also being forced. The federal system has a safeguard for that, where they make you get up and do an elocution at your guilty plea, where the judge will say, "Describe in your own words what you did," and you got to get up there under oath and talk about the crime you committed in your own words. And if you end up saying, "I didn't really do it, but I'm pleading guilty because it just seemed much easier, and I wanted to go to prison for 2 years instead of 5 years," the judge is going to say, "Well, I'm not accepting your guilty plea. Press your suits. We're going to trial." And so you are being forced to lie in your elocution if you're going to lie. But that nobody should plead guilty to a crime they didn't commit.
Did you?
You probably feel differently, though.
Yes, but one, I want to say there's a TikTok or whatever where the guy's pleading guilty, and his lawyer's right here, and as he's kind of pleading guilty,
Yes,
he
I
says,
saw
he's
that.
like, I mean,
I didn't do it.
I didn't do it, but I don't think I have a choice. And the
lawyer's
lawyer's like,
His face just melted. Yeah.
it's like, what are you doing? And so the judges, they don't get to that point, but I'm sure the judge at that point said, okay, so I'm not going to accept this.
Right. I would also argue, having been there, that a lot of these people who go kicking and screaming to their own guilty plea are lying to themselves about what they did. And I didn't intend to rip anyone off. It just turned into a Ponzi scheme,
Right.
that type of thing.
But you did rip someone off.
They did. So
You know
what I'm saying is,
I get it.
Right. These
But-
people who are like, I pled guilty to a crime I didn't commit.
Right.
Most of that's horse crap. And the FBI does thorough investigations. There's zero chance that anyone pled guilty to a crime they didn't commit on my watch.
Right.
On any case I did, because I made sure these people were locked in and buttoned down, and the evidence was beyond a reasonable doubt.
I think I've met multiple people that initially were always like, oh, I didn't this, I shouldn't be here, I that, and then they would go on and on. Then as you got to meet that person and got to know them, within 2 years, they're just laying out the scam, and you're just like, I thought you didn't do it.
I'm willing to argue shades of gray in there as far as the computation, the sentencing guidelines, intended loss versus actual loss versus you got screwed on some of that stuff.
I mean,
under guidelines.
I feel I got over sentenced, but like who cares what I think? I mean that's kind of the way when I would hear these guys complain. It's like, yeah, but you don't get to choose.
Yeah. Now, again, I will reserve all these comments and say I'm not familiar enough with the state system, and I also don't have a whole lot of faith in the state system of criminal justice that doesn't have all the safeguards in place. But also, I would argue that there's a independent investigation after the guilty plea by U.S. probation called the pre-sentence investigation, and if that person did not commit the crime, that's also going to flush it out.
You know who I feel this is definitely, I definitely, and we actually just were talking about it, is the doctors for these pill mills, because I've seen so many of them where the patient comes in and look, the guy he's doctor shopping, or he is an addict, but he's got an MRI and he says he's in pain here, and I asked him the questions, and he doesn't drink and he doesn't this, and I asked him the questions, and so they're like, so what do? I prescribe the medication, like what choice do I have? And then what would happen is those places get raided 18 months later. The doctor gets robbed. Gets arrested. It's always killed me because I would talk to the doctors and they would say, like, literally they would be in there arguing with the prosecutor for 45 minutes where the prosecutor's trying to convince them you did commit a crime. They're like, no, but I didn't. He said that. And I think it's such a convoluted area that it's like I feel like
for drug racketeering conspiracies is the same thing. So we'll go up on a Title III wiretap on a drug dealer, and at some point there will be some poor bastard who just introduces two people together. Like, hey, do you know someone who can hook me up? It's like, I don't know, give this guy a call. He's in that world, I'm not. And the next thing you know, that person who makes that referral is tied up in a drug racketeering conspiracy.
Yeah, that's
I feel
this guy
bad for that person.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for that person, but we're not actually talking. But again, the judge gets to know exactly what his involvement was.
Right. Well, and I think there's a guy named Brandon that got, I don't know if he got, I think the other day I said he got 20 years, and Pete told me, no, he got 15 years. And what Brandon had done was, there was a girl, she was sick, she was on opiates, she couldn't find any, she went to him, he was a bouncer, and she said to him, hey, do you know anybody? He was like, I don't know anybody. He said, I do know a guy he's like, I know he sells drugs. He's like, and I can give you his number, he might know. And he gave him the number. Yeah. And completely thinking to himself, this girl is going through withdrawals, she's sick, I feel that. He felt like I was doing her a favor, but the dealer gave her H.
Right.
She died. And so he got charged, and then he went to trial because he said, I didn't do anything wrong. And then when they got out, he went to trial and he lost, and he got like 15 years. So I
get it. Yeah, no, right. I mean, the plea bargain system is set up to not to incentivize people to plead guilty. But again, if you did not commit the crime, do not plead guilty to that crime.
Well, I also, and here's the other problem.
There's lots of stuff in mitigation that you can bring up at sentencing.
Well, see, it's like, it makes me think of, but it's because I have such experience with the law now, where prior to this, just being a regular person, I could see saying, I don't know anything, but I know this guy, thinking that. Now as soon as that happens, I think, oh man, you're hit. I don't know. Good. Sorry, man. I'd walk. Do you know anybody? I don't know anybody, even though I do know somebody. You know what I'm saying? I would be like, I don't. I'd walk away. But that's because I have such experience with the system.
Sure.
So at this point, I would, if I'm driving and somebody says, hey, listen, can I jump in your car? Can you drop me off down the street real quick? My first thought is, what do they have on them?
Right.
Well, if I hadn't had this experience, I'd be like, yeah, sure, no problem. I'll take you down.
Yeah.
Thinking I'm just being a nice person. No.
Next thing you're transporting somebody's
they get pulled over. They're pushing something under the seat. They're like, oh, I don't know it's not my car.
Must have been wrong. Yeah.
And then look at me. Look who I am. I'm sitting there like,
There's actually a donation kind of on this topic from Sally, $5, indicted on 10 felonies, bargained to 1 and time served, versus risking 72 months and for going to trial. She said she was innocent with the public defender said it was 50-50 at trial.
Again, I would just argue, Sally, that I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that happened.
Okay, I got a few-
I can't walk a mile in your shoes. I've never been in your shoes.
If you were really desperate, would you have Matt Cox teach you to do fraud? I'm assuming that's to you.
I don't need Matt Cox to teach me how to do fraud. I've been a professional fraud investigator for my entire adult life. So the question is, who could make if we started today and had 1 year? Who could make more money committing fraud, Matt Cox or I? That's a contest.
I was gonna say that would be interesting. Could you imagine if you carte blanche to do whatever you wanted?
Who do you think would make more money, you or I?
I think I'd make a ton more money.
No, sir. Here's why. Your reputation is that you're
it wouldn't even be Matt Cox. I wouldn't be Matt Cox. The first thing I'd do is I'd be John Thompson or something.
I'm the most trusted man in America.
I'd be completely somebody else.
That'd make a good show. That'd make a good TV
That
series.
would make a good one.
That'd be fun. There's don't steal that.
Yeah.
Colby's gonna produce it.
Who knows? We'll see. $20 for Colby. Thank you. Let's see. Been a fan of your channel since Lex podcast. Thank you for the many hours of great content.
Yeah,
When's the Matt Cox movie coming out?
I hate this question.
Why? I think you're
Because it's never gonna happen. Because I've given up.
Have you optioned the movie rights to your life to anyone?
A few times?
Good.
It's never happened.
Well, I mean, that's money though, right? You get money for the option.
It is money. It is money. I mean, I've met with Lawrence Bender, which is the guy who did all the Quentin Tarantino.
Pulp Fiction. Yeah.
I had a meeting with Mark Wahlberg's partner. I've had, I've spoken with I've had all the meetings, and either it just hasn't happened yet, which highly unlikely, or it's just not going to happen.
Is your story currently under option with anyone? Or
no, it's not under option now. It expired. It expired by a guy that I really, really believed was going to be able to get it done, and had me convinced that he was going to do everything to get it done. And then once it got optioned, I really feel like he didn't do everything he could have done.
Yeah.
And I really felt like, and we had the conversation, and I had these conversations because I've been through it so many times. When they're talking and telling me all the lies, I'm just sitting there like okay. And what's so funny is how it follows the same exact path.
Everyone's super positive, aren't they?
Of course. And then they got to talk to Sally, and then they have to talk. We're going to get the team together to talk about it. And you do the team meeting, and then they're going to talk to Jennifer that they know so and so at Netflix, and they're good friends with Bob at HBO, and we just did a thing with, and it's all, and we're gonna fly you out, and we're gonna this, and we're gonna that, and then they do all this stuff, and in the end, it's just like
nothing happens. Yeah.
I think that they think it's gonna come together very easy, and when it doesn't,
I think that industry is filled with crazy optimism.
Here's something that's interesting. Just in the last year, 3 YouTubers have had their own box office type of movies, and they haven't gone the traditional like Hollywood studio model. So the Backrooms was a 21-year-old YouTuber. It had a $10 million budget, and it earned over $100 million in the first week. Obsession had a $750,000 budget, and it made $171 million domestically.
It's right now it's past $300 million.
And Iron Lung, oh really? Yeah. So this is the AI overview.
Yeah.
He made $51 million with a budget of $3 million, and all these are YouTubers. I don't know.
But again, they were doing it themselves. So that's an argument for Matt Cox making the Matt Cox movie. And you're spread a bit thin.
Yeah, I don't think that's
this
pesky
possible. Day job. Yeah.
What I think is possible is starting a studio, which I've actually talked about starting a studio where I'm not even starting the studio, like putting it together and having somebody start a studio, and then using this platform and other YouTube platforms to generate interest in the movies, and then let's say you take a couple $100,000 and you make the movie, and you do it kind of a guerrilla production movie. We're not pulling permits. We're not, and you get a producer because there are guys right now that have made movies. For instance, there's a guy that I've spoken with and is actually writing a script right now based on a story I wrote called Ben. It's based on John Boziak's story. And he, for $100,000, he did a movie which was based on a true story, and it grossed probably 800,000 at this point. So for $100,000, he made $600,000-700,000 profit. And so I spoke with him, and the movie's still making money. I spoke with him, and I spoke with another guy that is that's also working on a screenplay for me. And so I've actually thought about making these things into screenplays and trying to raise the money or start a studio of some kind to have these things made and turn that into like a production studio, and then use a bunch of platforms like Ian Bick and Johnny Mitchell and mine to actually generate sales for those. But how good are they? Could they be great? Yeah. Could they be crap? Yeah. I don't know. And it's like, do I want to? I don't want to lose money. I don't have the money to do it myself. So you have to raise money, and I can't raise money, and so it's very dicey. So then it goes back to, okay, well then go the traditional. Well, the traditional, it's tough. It's a very tough situation. You need somebody to come in and say, hey, I've got $40 million and we're going to make this, and it's Warner Brothers or I don't know, Sony or whoever. And the problem with those guys is that they talk to you and talk to you and talk to you, and it goes and it goes and it goes. And then as soon as you think something's going to happen, Disney comes in and buys up, the production company. Or I've had that happen. I've had guys where we're all the way to we're about to fly in and sign contracts, and COVID hits. I've had so many disasters, and so because there have been so many close calls, I've gotten to a point where I'm like, this is just God saying, this is what you've got. Be happy. And I am happy.
Right.
This is great. Like if this, and everybody always asks like, well, what if, I know this isn't the question, but what's the next step? The next step is like, this is amazing. Yeah. I'm thrilled. If this is all I ever have,
a million followers on this channel. It's 1.2 million almost.
We got 1 million on Facebook, even though I think I might have screwed that up. Well, you know what happened?
No.
Listen, we should have called Tom.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I did anything wrong. First of all.
For the record.
Mm-hmm. I was
Mr. Zuckerberg, if you're watching.
I was approached by a guy.
Oh, boy.
Who said, there's a woman who does lives and she wants to interview you live. And so I went and I looked, and I knew exactly who it was. I was like, oh my gosh, she's hilarious. I know who this is. I didn't know her name, but and so I looked at it, and he said, yeah. He said, you're gonna go live. It paid, and she was gonna give me like $4,000. I thought, wow, this is great. This is a good deal. And so okay, so hey.
What platform is she going to go live on?
Facebook.
Oh, I didn't know there's a thing. Okay.
Yeah. So I said, okay, cool, and we scheduled it, and then he said, okay, well, we all 3 days beforehand, you meet with the producer, and they have you go through and set up your Facebook for stop it.
I know. I think I see what's coming. Go ahead.
To go live. Have you ever gone live? And I said, no, never on Facebook. Okay. Well, then we have to. Let's go back and so let's go ahead and go. And he said, go ahead and give. Can you send me this so he could have access to my computer? And I went, I'm not going to do that. I'm not, and I hate to say this, he did have like an Indian accent. I'm sure that has nothing but so then I said, you know what? I said, let's go ahead and do FaceTime.
Yeah.
So we did FaceTime, and we would go through this and click here, go up here, click here. And so he is seeing everything. But then when he got time, he's like, okay, you have to turn on this. And you do actually have to turn something on to have the ability to go live. He said, okay, go ahead and do this and punch in the code. So I said, okay. And when I went to go hit the button, I FaceTimed it down, hit the code. It comes up. I click on it. I put it in. I click, boom. It goes through. And I go back and I said, okay. And you could hear it in his voice like, okay, go back to this menu. I go back to the other menu. Click there. He said, okay, I don't think it worked. Let's also do this. And then he said, do it again. Not really, because when I did it, I kind of turned it, right? Like, so he couldn't see. So I didn't, and the next time I did it again, and he obviously realized like, oh, he's not letting me see.
Yeah, okay.
He's not letting me see it. And so when it was done, he was like, okay. He said, well, we have to make sure that this says that it's, capable of, I said, it does say that. Because now I'm starting to realize something's wrong.
Yeah.
You just had me do the same thing twice. I said, no, it's good. It's good. I'll see you on Tuesday. Okay, we're good. We should be good. He's like, oh, okay. Then, of course, the day before, he says, hey, we have to reschedule. Which was weird because if it just didn't work, you just let me go ahead and but then a week later, 2 weeks later, he calls back and he says, hey, we need to reschedule now. We reschedule, and he says, okay, let's go ahead and schedule a thing for you to meet with the producer so you can make sure it's all set up. I said, no, it is set up.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, I know, but we just need to go through it one more time. I said, no, bro. I said, it is set up.
Are you suspecting something at this point?
At this point, I'm definitely, like that.
Okay.
That made me think something's wrong.
Right.
And so I was like, yeah, it is set up. He's like, okay, but we just have to see it. And I said, listen, man, I said, we're not doing this again. It's good. I'll be there. We're good.
Yeah.
Send me the link. I'll click the link. I know how it works. We're good. I don't have time to do it again. And he went, okay, well, we'll see you Tuesday. I said, okay. Hung up the phone.
Nothing.
Never heard anything again.
Yeah.
Never heard. Didn't.
So
no
was your
link,
Facebook compromised?
And then about 2 weeks later, look at Colby. Stop it. We talked about this.
Yeah, it's fine.
Don't judge me. This was not me. 2 weeks later, money was transferred to another account that was opened by some guy named
your Facebook revenue,
Facebook
your monthly
revenue.
Facebook revenue. Yeah.
Was
I
sent-
get paid by Facebook too.
was sent
Rerouted to a different bank account.
Yes, opened by a guy named
Muhammad, I think. Yeah.
That narrows it down.
So yeah,
But
that's the most popular name in the world.
the company that's managing it caught it and got it back. We actually did get it back.
Oh, I did not know that. I thought they like froze it.
Yeah.
And then, but it had been months, and as a result, Facebook in the meantime put us in Facebook jail.
Yeah.
So they stopped pushing our content. Nothing. You can't get paid. You're done.
Yeah.
So what did that really cost? Not that I did anything, Tom. I don't think I did.
Not judging.
But if I did, it didn't cost that. It's not the money that was sent and returned.
Yeah, I get
it's
it.
the
Opportunity cost.
Yeah.
So months.
I'm sorry you got defrauded.
I think Colby did something.
really sucks
and
to be
he's not-
defrauded, doesn't it?
Colby's not owning up to it.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Doesn't Matt Cox really just suck to be defrauded?
Is
Is that terrible? Is that terrible when a con artist enters your life and takes money from you? Doesn't that suck?
Do you know what happens? You know what really happens is when it happens to me, because it's happened several times. Somebody got before I got my 17, my iPhone 17.
I got mine.
Another guy got an iPhone. He went to T-Mobile with my name in like Iowa.
Yeah.
I'd never even been to Iowa. Got in Iowa and got it mailed to his house in Iowa. And so I get a phone call
With
saying,
your phone number?
no, not my phone number, but on my account.
Yeah, I had that happen to me.
And so I call, they next thing I'm getting called by this, collection agency. And finally they called so much I answer the phone and they were like, hey, is this Matt Cox? I was like, yeah. But, usually by this point I'm hanging up.
Right.
But they said, and then they wrapped, I said, yeah, listen, man, I'm not interested. No, it's a collection agency. He said, your last 4 digits of your social security number is, and he named him. And I was like, woo.
Yeah.
It was actually a woman. I was like, what's going on? And they said, okay, here's what's going on. And told me, and I was like, oh, wow, I didn't do that. Okay, well, so I had to drive down there to explain it to them. Mm-hmm. They said, okay, you need to call here. I had to call this number. Yeah. Then they said, that's fine. You have to call and put in a report saying that it was stolen with this other national company, which I did. Then I get the report. And then I give it back to them, and then they took it off my thing.
Yeah.
But the whole time that this is happening, I'm chuckling about it. Because it is, because I'm like,
similar to you, your own scam.
Right, because I'm thinking, what an asshole. And I'm thinking, you're the asshole. Like this, I'm like, you have, like, I'm laughing because like I have it coming.
Karma has caught up with you. Yeah.
6 months ago, I have because of, the situation, I have a notification on my credit. And one day I'm checking my email and there's something from, what is it, CreditWise, right? Yeah. Bing, your credit's been pulled. And I'm like, credit's been pulled from who? Like Bank of America. And I'm like, I know for a fact that they've already turned me down. And I'm like, Bank of America? And I thought, well, maybe it was a soft pull or something. Maybe that's why it's whatever. So I ignored it. Next day, bing, bing, 2 more people try, 2 more banks.
Your social security number's out there in the world.
I tell Jess, keep in mind, this has been 6 months to a year before the other one, or since the other one. Then the next day, another 2 or 3. So now it's been 7 times. Do
you end up getting a protection, lock your credit down type of thing?
I go, I check it out, I find out, I start calling these people. And luckily, the person who's doing it is in California. They say that they work in California. They live in California. So everything is California-based, so they're getting turned down. They don't have enough of my information. Yeah. They do have my social, my date of birth, my name. So I was lucky because it was getting shut down, and I did. I went and put an alarm.
Smart.
Yeah, I did that. But
All right,
yeah,
Colby probably has a dozen questions.
Yeah. So Matt, check your phone. I think you have a text from Jess and Tom. Sorry, Tom. Let's see. Have you ever lost sleep over something you did in the FBI that wasn't 100% above the board? Be honest. We're all human. Any decisions from your career that still weighs on you?
Yes. I the problem is it's a story. One of the stories I'm going to tell here's how it works. I come in the evening, we do the live show, and then tomorrow Matt and I are going to record 2 episodes that'll probably be released 4 weeks apart from each other. One of the stories I have in either the next episode or the episode after that is something I did at the FBI that went really bad and something really inappropriate. And looking back on it now with retrospect, I think that I did that ended up kind of getting me chewed out, and I did lose some sleep over that once I discovered what had happened. And I had a couple informants break bad on me, people that I had like busted out of prison to be my informants, and then they started committing crimes and like crimes with actual flesh and blood victims. And so that was always sort of a
someone that you got out of prison to work for the FBI?
work for me as a informant.
I've never heard this. That is
and then he in like
harm someone.
6 weeks later. Oh yeah, economically.
Yeah.
6 weeks later he committed some pretty bad crimes defrauding people, but I'm the guy who like kind of vouched for him and said I'd be monitoring his activity and keeping my finger on the pulse of it, and making sure the guy is just a rabid dog, and so we had to lock him up again. So none of these things blow back on me, but I feel bad about it, right? Like if it weren't for me being the self-starter, wanting to like get this guy out of prison to kind of like provide me with information and kind of inject him into criminal situations so I could be the big shot and get the statistical accomplishments and the accolades of my bosses and things like that, because I wasn't going for promotions. I went 26 years without a promotion. Then it never would have happened. But if I had just let things be and let this guy rot in prison where he belonged, because he's a piece of garbage, then there wouldn't have been people who lost money as a result of trying to do business with him.
Right.
So stuff like that. Now, it's not, again, remember, I'm a financial crime investigator, right? So it's not like I'm turning my head the other way while someone's hurting children or something like that, or crimes which are more morally serious. Thanks for asking.
Colby, sorry. I have a stand.
I don't need it. Yeah, okay. I just did it for a little bit. I went live just for a little bit so people could see. All right, Tom did a pool episode a few weeks ago. I would suggest you guys do one together sometime, but I'm afraid Matt would drown standing next to Tom. So what'd you do? Do a video with the pool?
What I do on Sunday mornings, I put on a weighted backpack with 50 other people, and we go for a walk, and then I usually go, if it's nice, I hop in the pool. And sometimes I'll sit at the pool edge and put my phone in the pool, and I'll go live on TikTok or Instagram and take questions. It's not a full nudity thing. You're only seeing me from here up, so I think what someone was just trying to do is make a cheap short joke at your expense. And shame on you for that, sir.
That was
shame on you.
Yeah, you're offended. Really, that's uncalled for.
It's beneath you.
Yeah.
Tom, would you rather see 1,000 guilty people go free or one innocent person go to jail? Matt, did you ever meet an innocent person in prison?
So I'll answer that mine real quick. You can think about this.
Yeah, it's so stupid. Go ahead.
I've met several people. That's a tough question, man, because I've met several people that I felt were definitely over sentenced, if that makes sense. Where I felt like, wow, this person did not, like, they deserved a couple of years for stupidity, because you'd made all the wrong decisions. Once you knew there was an investigation, you made all the wrong decisions along the way, and then you went to trial, and now you're doomed because the prosecution hates your guts. Now there's multiple people pleading guilty, saying you did it or knew, and all they needed was you knowing. So you should have gotten a couple of years just for stupidity.
But never a situation where they got the wrong man altogether.
No. Well, the only case I would say is close to that would be Donovan Davis, which is a guy that got roped into what was a Ponzi scheme and didn't know it was a Ponzi scheme. Lost $1 million of his own money. Now, here's the problem with that is that at some point they went – here's the problem. The problem is you don't know anything about Forex trading.
Yeah.
But you're raising money for these guys, after you give them $1 million And they're a couple months later, you're helping them raise, you're telling people all about it. You're bringing people. They realize you know people with money. They come to them and they say, listen, you've helped us so much. We're going to give if you give us $600,000, we're going to let you buy into a third of the company. And all you have to do is keep raising money because you're really good at it. And he said, I thought I was getting in on the ground floor at Google. He said, I thought, wow, what an opportunity. Yeah. He knows nothing about it. So what happened when it all collapsed, and by the way, he's the first person that went to the U.S. When he found out what happened, before it was had collapsed, he went to the U.S. attorney. The U.S. attorney said, thank you. We're going to look into it. And when they looked into it, everybody they talked to said, well, Donovan's the one that told me it was a good investment. Donovan's the one. But Donovan had thought it was. And so when they came to him and said, look, they indicted him. And they said, look, we're indicting you. We're going to let you take a plea, a few years. And he said, I didn't do this. I just lost $1 million of my own money. I lost money, my family's money. And they were like, yeah, I know, but the burden of proof is on the government that he had criminal intent. Right. And all that. I understand, but he's already indicted. He's scared. He goes to trial.
Okay, good.
Yeah, he got 17 years. And I've looked at every document throughout his whole. I've talked to his co-defendants. And I think he genuinely didn't know. What I do think is, and he'd be upset with me for this, and I talked to him. So what he would be upset about is the fact that I think. I feel like, and I know because I know the position he's in and I know who he is, this is not how a normal person thinks. It's how I think now, but I didn't think this 20 years ago. But you can't you can't tell people this is a good investment and you don't have enough experience to tell them that. And it appears that you have a fiduciary responsibility to anybody you ask to invest money to. And he didn't think that. What he thought is, I've invested my money and it's doing well, but he doesn't know it's a Ponzi scheme. So I understand, but the problem is that they put 20 people on the stand that said Donovan said this, Donovan said that, and then the two co-defendants that really were running the Ponzi scheme, by the way, they're ready to. One guy does testify and gets caught multiple times for lying. The other guy, he never testifies, but he's more than willing to lie too. It's to their benefit to say Donovan knew. But it just it never made sense. So I always feel like Donovan was innocent. Do I think he should have done 3 years for stupidity? Absolutely. Absolutely. It was a stupid thing you did. Yeah. And it was stupid because you should have taken a plea. Even though you don't think you're guilty and you went to, just like you said, you go to trial. And his lawyers were not great. His lawyers, he's out of money. He's out of money. They're upset because they're running a trial for a few $100,000. And, it's a horrible situation. The other one I would say is Dennis Caroni. Dennis Caroni, it's a tragedy what happened to him, but here's the problem with Dennis Caroni. Dennis Caroni lent money. A friend of his brother's, who's known his whole life, comes to him and says, I'm starting a fin clinic. There's a lot of fat people in New Orleans. Yeah. Give me $50,000 and I'm going to start this thing. I already got the doctor. He goes, oh my God, that's great. He goes, I give him $50,000. He builds out a little strip mall thing. And he said, just before we open, a couple of weeks before we open, he said, fin becomes illegal. He said, I've got a built-out facility with a couple of doctors ready to prescribe fin, and I can't do it. So one of the doctors comes to him and says, listen, pain management. This is before there were pill mills. Yeah. Let's do pain management. And he's like, okay, let's do that. Whatever. Like, I don't know. He lives in L.A., by the way. He's never even been there. Right. His buddy's running it. They start running the whole thing.
The guy your buddy who made the investment, was he making a loan or an equity investment? Was he an equity?
Yeah, he owns it. Okay. He owns it. Well, he owns part of it, right? Like half of it. And so they start doing very well, and it for all intents and purposes is not really a pill mill. He's never really goes there. He is annoying. He calls constantly. How much money did we make today? How much money? He's extremely annoying. He's on the Asperger's spectrum. Well, I have a buddy, Pete, who's very quiet and reserved and very polite and nice. Caroni's on the other side. He's just pushy and just drives you and makes you furious with him. And that's what he did. And so when they eventually bust the clinic, there's a lot of stuff that happens. But when they eventually bust the clinic, they try and make him an offer. He says, I'm not taking an offer. I didn't do anything. I gave this guy $50,000. I've been in the clinic 2 times.
Yeah.
Like, I've never prescribed a pill. I walked in. They saw the place. Another time I came in to pick up, Johnny and went to lunch. Like, what are you talking about? But they've got enough people to say he was annoying, and that and people have been indicted, and they're more than willing to throw him under the bus. And he goes to trial, and even though multiple people are found to be lying and everything else, even the DEA task force agent, Donald Nines, is found lying. He lies so bad to get the guy indicted that after Dennis is found guilty, they indict Nides for lying on the indictment. Listen to this. And when Nides goes to trial,
the DEA agent
goes to trial, the first day they put on the doctor, the next day they're putting on the woman, a woman that he was having an affair with. He's married, by the way. And so he knows she's going to be on the stand the next morning. That morning, Nides goes into his little garage area, or separate garage area, and sticks a gun in his mouth and blows his head off. I don't know if he blew his head off. He did kill himself. But but I mean, that's how bad, that's how corrupt and fucked up the case is. Dennis did all of his time. Like, Dennis is annoying. Listen, I can't even tell you how annoying Dennis is.
Has he been on the show?
No, he's
still in prison?
No, he's out.
Oh, okay.
He's out. I actually went to New Orleans when he got out. I went to New Orleans and saw him.
That's good.
Because I want the best for Dennis.
Yeah.
But God, he's a pain in the ass. And I know that because he is such a pain in the ass, that is why he got indicted. He did everything wrong during this whole thing. He should have taken a couple years. I know he feels he didn't deserve it. I don't necessarily think he deserved it. I think that there may have been some willful blindness on his part. Maybe he knew something was wrong. It is a problem.
Yeah.
But he got 19 years. You know what he got 19 years for? Money laundering. Because you know how when because it's also a lot of things they did were like they stopped because guys were coming in with fake, insurance cards, or they'd write a check and it'd bounce, right? Because a lot of these are drug addicts. They stopped taking it. They said, "Oh, it's got to be cash from now on." Okay, well now you're running a cash business with doctors that are now being hired by your buddy, who are now just writing scripts. Now they have the MRIs, they meet all the things, but they're checking the boxes and writing the scripts. But Dennis once again lives in LA. He's not there. He just gave the $50,000, but he realizes it's a cash cow.
Yeah.
So he's not really asking a lot of questions. He should have taken 3 years. Instead, he went to trial. He got 19 years. I think in a very real way, if he's not completely 100% innocent, which I actually kind of feel like he is, he was so overly sentenced, and the judge hated him. I mean, you can tell in the transcript, she just says vicious things, horrible things about him. Starts talking about other trials she's had about other people that have nothing to do with Dennis. She's blaming him for deaths all kinds of stuff. And there are no deaths. Like, there's no deaths. What are you talking about? Like, and hits him for money laundering. Like, I didn't prescribe a pill. But the money was dirty money. And what's happening here? So, and his lawyer also, by the way, was like, if you lose at trial, like, you'll probably get 3 or 4 years. I love it. I can't tell you how many guys were. Donovan's lawyer said, if they give you more than 4 years, I'll quit the legal practice right now. He got 17 and a half years.
That's great.
Sorry.
Tom, did you still remember your question, Tom?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I hate
I'm sorry about that.
I hate that false choice question. I don't want any innocent people to go to prison. I do not shed a tear for either of the 2 sad stories Matt told about his scam friends.
My scam friends.
But I look at the case of the boxer Hurricane Carter, who was an African American who was misidentified for a murder because he just happened to be black, and a lot of black people look alike to white people, and he went to prison. I look at that as the ultimate tragedy. And every now and then you see these situations where they literally just got the wrong guy. Not some dumb son of a bitch who got himself mixed up in a Ponzi scheme and was marketing it, and I didn't know it was a Ponzi scheme. I'm not shedding a tear for those guys.
Horrible. Donovan is hilarious.
But for somebody, I'm happy they're able to move on with their lives and have successful, happy lives. I don't wish ill will on anyone. I don't get mixed up in people's sentencings for the most part. But so I'm absolutely against the idea of a truly innocent person going to prison. And guilty people get away with crimes all the time. So that doesn't, one of the things you learn very early when you're an FBI special agent is that you can't catch them all.
All right. Matt, doesn't it drive you crazy when a guest will constantly say, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Ad nauseum. It says it drives them crazy.
Well,
And I will say, before you answer, I will say when a guest has, I would say, a nervous tick or something that they don't realize that they constantly say, and over 2 to 3 hours, if you hear it, that's all you hear.
Mm-hmm.
If that becomes an issue, I do my best to remove it. Like sometimes people will have like a like I say like a lot, but you can go in there. I can search them and mute every single one.
Right.
And then I have to go review each of the gaps to make sure it still sounds naturally. Just because I know over the course of 2 hours that could become just a distraction for an audience.
I was gonna say what's amazing is that I know of podcasts we've done where the guy said, whatever it is he said, let's say it was or let's say it was, you know what I'm saying? He said it 180 times and Colby trims it down considerably and people will still, literally out of 180, Colby's removed 150 and people still butcher the guy. Could you imagine if he left the 180 in? He trimmed out 150. He only said it 30 times. And people are like, you know what I'm saying?
Like
Matt,
15,
did you know
1,500. Like there's like,
Oh,
there's
oh,
sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, sometimes
1,500.
it's like people have, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's
it's
just
just
integrated
constantly.
into their sentences.
Yeah, so you can't remove those. Some of them
Yeah.
you can't even remove because it's so.
Right. Well, you and I are very good speakers. I mean,
Well,
and so some people just
I wonder because every once in a while I will pick up a tick or something, and Jess will say, "You realize this is what you're saying. If you've been saying it a lot, and you're starting to say it all the time." And then I'll mention it to Colby, and then Colby's like, "Yeah, I've noticed that you are." I'm like, "Well, why didn't you say something?"
It's a good wife,
Yeah,
man.
Matt's thing, and I would say, just like what I'm doing now, when we're interviewing somebody, sometimes you don't have, you're like thinking, I was going to say, like you don't have your question ready to go, locked and loaded.
Right.
But it's kind of hard because you're listening and engaging. So sometimes I notice if it's too long, I would just, okay, I'm going to trim this out and it's going to bounce.
Oh, nice. As I get older, I also notice that I can't find the words. Does that make sense?
It's happening.
I'll start to, I know what I want to say, and so I just immediately dumb down what I was going to say. I just drop back, and then when I say it, it's very clumsy. It comes out clumsy, and I think, wow, like you completely, exactly. It was on the tip of my tongue, but I don't, I can't.
We're getting old, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I can't worry about those things. I just keep going, and it's
control,
just going to happen. And
Yeah.
So the guy who asked this question wanted me to say his name, his username, and it's Will Matitzag is his name. So thank you for the $5 or $6.
I like that.
Yeah.
We have Bart Simpson in the audience.
People want to know. They saw me and they said, "Did we go to Turkey?" We have not gone to Turkey yet. We have not got a hair transplant yet.
No.
I've just grown my hair out a little bit since.
I think I'm just going to go here. I just don't want to lose a kidney.
What's the matter with your hair? Looks fine.
I think it looks fine too.
No, come on, stop. Listen. This is perfect lighting. Perfect lighting. If we shifted these things back 3 feet.
Is this different than it was 3 years ago when I met you?
No, it's 3 years ago I needed one. I need one. I want it thicker. Thicker.
I like this question. Has Matt ever thanked Tom for his podcast success?
I read that a couple times. I didn't even think to ask it.
No. As a matter of fact, I never have.
I haven't.
Okay, here's one. This guy might be under investigation. He said, "Is there any way to for sure tell the telltale signs that you are being investigated by one of the 3-letter agencies? Would the
Yes.
Fed stop a state warrant being issued to continue the investigation?" And this guy asked it multiple times. So.
Oh, well, okay. I thought you were a crazy person because when crazy people ask me this question all the time, and or how do I know if I'm under FBI surveillance? And I go, here's the thing. Here's how you know. You've committed a really serious federal crime, or you're a terrorist, or you're a spy. And I go, if none of those things are true, you're definitely not under surveillance by the FBI. I've never heard of a situation where the FBI intervenes and mysteriously has state charges dropped on a person who's like unaware of the reason. So I do not believe that's the case. You can probably rest easy, sir, that you are not a member of you're not a focus of an FBI investigation, unless we're talking about drugs, in which case I don't know what the DEA and how they play ball. I just don't.
When you're in prison, have you ever seen SA firsthand? They said we have 3,000 cases waiting for trial in my city. So
I have heard an assault happening.
Like shower situation or bed situation?
This was two inmates that were. This was after lockdown. Like the one guy was flamboyantly gay, and the other guy was a young guy. And it's funny because it was a constant with the young guy. It was a constant that because his roommate was clearly gay. He was constantly letting everybody know that, hey, I ain't gay. But the guys are giving him a hard time because he's in the. But this was in the U.S. Marshals holdover before sentencing, and you're just thrown in there with a lot of people. You don't have a lot of choice, and that's who he had as a cellie. And the guy wasn't a bad guy. And I don't know what happened, but the young guy who kept telling everybody he's not gay ended up assaulting the other guy. Oh yeah.
In a sexual way?
Oh yeah,
Or not just a fist
absolutely.
fight?
No,
Okay.
no, absolutely. We could hear the screaming and hollering, the whole thing.
So the gay guy was the victim.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Interesting.
Even though the other guy consistently was telling everybody. And
It sounds like he was dealing with some issues.
yeah, they took both of them away, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just laid in bed and and just heard it.
Beat off.
Yeah. God, that is the kind of. By the way, that's why I got that email. That's the kind of situation that gets me an email. So, but yeah, I'm on the bottom tier, and it was the upper tier over a little bit, and it was catacomb. It was like the perfect, like you could just hit the whole thing, and everybody's just sitting there, and it's like I thought, well, this is just what it is. The other thing is, one time I was walking, just there were in the low. I was just walking down the hallway, and in the low you don't have a door, and as I'm walking, I saw something as I'm walking by, and I glance over, and I mean
Consensual though.
Consensual, but
More than you needed to be seeing at that moment.
more than anyone. I mean, it was. I just was like, whoa! It was.
Are there a lot of guys who were kind of gay for this day?
I don't know if there was a lot of guys. There are some guys for sure. There are, and
Like any port in a storm?
yeah, yeah. I didn't think a lot about it, but every once in a while you would hear somebody would say something. You'd hear something. You'd be like, what? And they go, yeah, bro, this is what I just like. I walked in this guy's cell and boom, I had no idea. It's like, and then later the guy comes up to him and says, man, I've been locked up 30 years. I know what you saw, bro. I appreciate if you keep it to yourself. He's like, no, I get it. I go. He's already told me.
Right,
I've already told 16 people. No, but yeah, it's I don't know what happens to people. There was just never a time when I thought it's a nice looking guy. It just never happened.
Could you get like Jergens in the commissary?
You could.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. I have an active imagination.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
all right, so here's a couple comments for both of you guys. Tom's wrong here. Matt is a piece of ass.
Okay. All right.
That's
fair
from
enough.
There you
Will
go.
at
I stand
Titzag.
corrected. Yeah.
And then here's for Tom. Someone says,
I really hope that's a
Tom
woman.
does look jacked. What is your bicep workout?
I do curls, but I think that you probably get a lot more out of pull-ups. That people don't realize how much incidental bicep work happens by just normal weightlifting.
And are you going to the gym? Do you have a home gym?
I go to a gym every morning,
Oh, nice. Okay, here we go.
5:15 a.m.
Here's
I'm
a
up
question.
at 4:30.
My bicep routine.
Yeah. I'm
is-
sorry.
is-
What about Matt's bicep?
They used to ask that.
They did when I
ask
used to
that.
wear my shirt.
Yeah.
What's so funny is that I have the same philosophy. I wouldn't do curls or anything. I didn't do anything because I'm like you get enough. I get enough, and I'm short. I'm like, so if I work my arms,
that's one good thing about being
it
short.
will be. I'll be huge and I'll look silly. So like I don't do it because you get enough kind of just ancillary doing other things anyway.
Yeah. It's like abs.
Yeah,
Don't,
and I'm not-
don't,
it's
don't,
not-
waste, don't waste your time doing abs. If you're
Right.
doing squats and deadlifts, your abs are
Yeah,
getting
if
plenty
you
of
want
work.
abs, then lose weight. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's
right.
that's how you
abs
lose.
are made in the kitchen, not in
Right.
the gym.
All right, here we go. Here's a question for both of you guys. What's your take on the claims that the DOJ gets weaponized for politics? Even Biden said it and then did preemptive pardons. in cases like Trump, even the pill mill investigations were very political.
Yeah. The DOJ does get politicized, and people are prosecuted because of their political leanings. The good news is that the bulwark against that are good federal agents. So again, the prosecutors are working for presidential appointees. The DOJ, they're all mired in politics, but the bulwark against that getting out of hand, at least at the FBI, are 13,000 FBI agents in the 55 field offices who don't care about politics. People like me who don't vote, who have no party, who don't really care. Who look at politics the way I look at the WNBA, something I just don't care about. And so while you may find a agent out there who's willing to participate in a politically motivated investigation, and we're seeing that right now under Kash Patel, because he's been giving bonuses to some agents who he considers to be his political allies. For the most part, most agents would never ever take part in an investigation that is political in nature or driven by politics, where a person did not in fact commit a crime.
Okay, here's a funny question. They said, if Matt took off running, could Tom catch him?
You fast? I don't know. You a fast
I
runner?
don't think that's it. Wait, do they mean physically?
Yeah,
or
I'm thinking
running?
like running.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
I'm
I
just
thought they
picturing
meant
you
like it
guys
was
in
on
field.
the run.
Like an open field, like Matt.
Are you fast runner? You fast?
No, I'm not a fast runner. I have tiny little legs. I'm a little person.
I'm not a particularly fast sprinter either. I mean, if you want, we can go to the parking lot sometime and film a 100-yard dash
I don't want to do it.
after the arm wrestling.
We'll have to put that video behind a paywall. So here's another question.
I run with the wind doing the windmill.
People are really interested in what would happen if we had physical challenges.
We'll have the Olympics. We'll have the FBI versus former con man Olympics. Okay, here's a question. Matt, not asking for names, but have you had guests who you've had issues with before or after an interview recording? Obviously, you and Tom have sick chemistry. I would say 95 to 99% of guests are great.
Yeah.
We've had some we kind of spoke about it last time. Shown up and we know immediately it's going to be a marathon to get through the episode and have something that's worth.
But I think they want to know people who have beef with you, people who come here either with a chip on their shoulder or who after the cameras are off are look at you and say, "Man, that was fucked up what you did on the
Red Bull came with hey, we need to have this discussion.
Oh yeah, Red Bull before he even got here. This guy named Andrew Levinson. They called him Red Bull because it was a Red Bull. It was a scam that had to do with Red Bull vending machines.
I remember the episode.
Yeah. He I had asked him several times. He was like, "Oh, he's asked me 24 times." Like, I've asked you a couple times. I've told you a couple. Hey man, anytime you want to come, he made it seem like I was begging him. But so he. After he had kind of gone and bashed me on a program, because we were in Coleman the whole time, and he had no idea that I was cooperating or had cooperated.
One of those guys who has a chip on their shoulder because you cooperated.
Yeah. So he's very upset. He was very upset about it, and he had found out about it. He had watched a video, and he was like, "I had no idea. I had no idea." I was like, well, what's the problem?" So and so he had a real issue with that, and then. So then he goes on another guy's program and bashes me. It's fine. And so he does that.
After you had opened your doors to him and had him on your show?
Oh, multiple times. Yeah, multiple times. No, not after I'd had him on my show. So he tells the guy he would never come on my show. And then he gives the other guy, the guy's name was Jason Buckerbeck something.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jason, he gives Jason a hard time because he went on my show. And then Red Bull ends up coming on the show. So Red Bull, we're still texting.
Yeah.
Like I'm pleasant. Like you don't have to like me for me to be nice to you.
Yeah.
So we're still texting, and I say, well, hey, listen, the door is open if you do want to come on. So he ends up basically, I guess he gets desperate for money or something. So he says, look, I need money to pay my lease payment or something. I had $1,300 or something. So I talked to Colby. Colby says he'll pay him $1,300
to be on the show.
To be on the show. So he comes here. He's on the show. Mm-hmm. So will you stop?
I'm listening. I'm listening.
First of all, I was in prison with him. Listen. You have to understand.
And let me say why I also agree to that, because normally I'm like, no way. But I've heard Matt talk about this guy's story for 4 to 5 years.
Forever.
And I've listened to a couple months of him kind of trying to help him out.
Right.
Oh, and really helping him out. I mean, I'm giving him advice. I'm telling him to start.
How many views did this episode get?
It made its money back.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah,
a couple 100,000.
Yeah,
Okay.
200,000-300,000.
All right, good.
And we talked for over 2 hours. So he comes down. We do the episode, and he says, "Well, I'll come, but you need to agree that we're going to talk about the cooperation." I said, "Red Bull, I brag about the cooperation. I have no problem." Yeah, but
You're so transparent.
I
No one
know.
can blackmail you.
Yeah. He's like, "Well, and that I'm going to be able to say how I feel about it." I said, "I have no problem. It may get a little heated." I said, "Let's absolutely
Mix
let's
it up.
do
Yeah,
it.
it's good
Let's
radio.
have no
Yeah.
problem." So he comes. He said, "You're not going to edit it." I said, "Absolutely not. I will not edit. I promise." I said, "You have my word." So
he walks in with a chip on his shoulder.
of course. But he tells his whole story. He's irritated the whole time. And then we get to that part, and we argue, we bicker back and forth, but
About the cooperation.
about the cooperation. Neither one of us is going to win.
Yeah.
And then he ends up leaving. And this is a guy who he could be very charismatic. He's a con man. He's a true con man. He's such a con man that he's really kind of the worst kind of con man because he doesn't think he's a con man. He's one of these guys that when he came in, he went to trial. He's innocent.
Yeah.
And he also got 17 years. So absolutely 100% innocent. But then as the years went by, there were more and more things that he would say that I thought, you're not innocent. And first of all, he's giving false earnings potential to people. That's what they're doing. They're telling people they're going to make this much money. They're not.
Yeah.
He already knows they're not. The other thing he does is, oh gosh, what was the other? Oh, by the way, he's not telling anybody what his real name is. He's using Andrew Kennedy.
Consciousness of guilt.
Right. It goes on. And then of course, like 8 of his employees get up on the stand and they all say that he would tell them how to answer questions.
Right. So he's a guilty guy.
He's guilty.
So after, I guess, getting to the listener's question, after the episode, was there still beef?
Here's what's so funny about that is like I never had beef.
Right.
Like I understand you have an issue with me.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with you.
Yeah.
One of the things that happened after that was he actually called me up and said, "Listen, I have some guys that want me to go to New York. They're going to pay me. My rent is due. I'm shy $500, Matt."
Oh, really?
And I said, "Absolutely. I have no
You're
problem."
such a saint, man.
So
Like,
I sent him the money.
somebody bad raps you on the internet, trying to submarine your show, submarine your living, make you seem like someone that no one should go on your show, and then he
tells
comes back.
people.
Then he comes back to you on his knees begging for $500.
Yeah.
I would have told that guy. I can't even say on YouTube what I would have told that guy.
Well, but keep in mind,
he's trying to take money out of your pocket.
I understand, but when I was locked up, he made my time considerably less hard. He was funny, and he was fun to talk to, and I liked Red Bull. And I don't need you to like me for me to like you.
You're a saint, man. I'm not. I applaud you.
Well, listen. Whenever people say, "This is always funny," when people and I hear people always like, "Oh, I don't care what anybody thinks about me," but then you start talking to them, and you realize like they do care, and it's like, but I genuinely don't care what you think about me. If I enjoy,
you needed to make peace with that because of your history.
Yeah, of course, I have to. So I'm totally okay with it. Like
Yeah.
you don't, and here's the thing: I wanted the best for him. I do, and I heard Colby say this. Listen, Jess, and my wife, who's super protective of me, she's like, "What are you doing?
Yes.
This guy hates
I'm
your
with
guts."
Jess.
Okay, so, but I also knew that he had a very hard time in prison. He was miserable. He's a miserable person. He really is. And he bitched. It was everybody else's fault. It was the snitch's fault. It was the government's fault. It was the judge's fault. It was the system's fault. It was everybody's fault but his. Everybody's fault but the fact that you lied to people to buy your machines that you knew were all going to fail, and you made $15 million, and it was a 50 some odd or 40, I think it's 35 or 38 million dollars. It's like close to a $40 million scam.
Yeah. And use fake names.
And use fake names, fake this. And even when he told the story, I let him tell his kind of bullshit twist on the story a little bit. And because he was funny, he had funny stories he could tell. And so, and even though afterwards he oh, by the way, after he came on my show, I got him on Bubba's show.
Okay.
He went to Bubba's show and he bashed the shit. Bubba, it was so bad, Bubba called me and said, "Matt, this guy
He bashed you on the show, on Bubba's show?
Yeah, he goes, this guy really.
After you set him up.
He goes, he hates your guts. Did you not have any idea? I go, oh, yeah, what did he say? And he tells me, yeah, he said this and this. And I was like, yeah, it's fine. He said, yeah, I'm going to cut it. I said, no, don't cut it. Play it. He goes, no. He said, no, it's bad. I go, I'm okay with it being bad. I said, do you understand at this point? This is what really was funny. Is that even though he was like, yeah, you're going to leave all that in? I was absolutely. And he's like,
did he ever pay you back the 500 bones?
well, I'm getting there.
Okay.
It's a good story.
All right.
So I'm telling him, Red Bull, start a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I'm helping him. I'm telling him, if I was you, I would get this kind of, you can get these cameras used for $300, $400. You can start doing it right now. I explained the whole thing. You need to talk to so-and-so. He can help you. He can this, he can that. If Red Bull was closer, I would probably have done it. Because I think Red Bull, I want the best for Red Bull. He doesn't have to like me. It's fine. But I kept telling him the same thing. You have to drop I'm a victim and that everybody's a snitch and they're all scumbags and I hate everyone. You have to drop it. Red Bull, I know. I'm like, you understand? You just come off as a hater and people don't want to follow you. And you have a great personality, you have a great story, and you're very entertaining. You can make something of this. You can do this. And he just couldn't do it. And he was so, and I was like, not just that, you're super, the energy you put off is so horrible. You're so bitter that you're never going to bounce back. You can bounce back, but you cannot do it bitching your way to success. You have to accept what you did and be. And I've had these, listen, I talked to him for 45 minutes here, 30 minutes here, an hour here, text messages, everything. And I thought I had gotten him to a point where he was going to buy some cameras and he was going to start doing some stuff. And I even told him I'd help him. Like, I'll help you. Like, if you send me the stuff, I can even help you. I'll get somebody. I thought about having Boziak do a video for him. I can show you. Told him, went through a whole thing. I mean, spent way too much time. And one day I get a text message from a guy named Kyle Sandler. I think it is Sandler. It's something. Kyle Sandler, who also was in prison, who came on my show, also had bashed me many times. So I got a text message. I got a text message from Kyle, who was friends with Red Bull. They're all down there in South Florida. And he said, so Red Bull was supposed to show up today to do some stuff with us. He pays him. He would pay him a little here, a little there. Red Bull was supposed to show up. I sent somebody by to get him. They knocked on the door. He didn't answer the door. He got the manager to come and unlock the door. Red Bull had committed suicide.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he
I didn't know.
died of an overdose. Yeah, died of an overdose.
geez,
I had no idea.
I'm sorry.
Now, I knew...
This recent?
Yes.
6 months?
Oh,
Did you
yeah,
say
I had
6
no
months?
idea.
Maybe a little less. And let me interject here because this is a question someone had. Did Red Bull, take his own life? And if so, what do you think led up to that decision? Why would he have done all that time just to...
Okay, so he had a really, and when I say he had a really hard time bouncing back, it was like, first of all, in prison, he was, I realized right away he was lazy. He's a very lazy person. A lot of fraudsters are, right? Lazy, I mean, brilliant, but lazy. Didn't want to work, certainly didn't want to work hard. That was a problem because if you're smart, you don't have to work hard. You work smart, right? But he's on probation. So every time he would get a job, and he got like a job where he was on the phone selling whatever, water filters or something. Yeah. Amazing. Made like $1,800, he said, in like 4 days. He said, I was going to kick ass. It would have been great. Wouldn't have been a lot of money, but it would have been good. His probation officer, when he told his probation officer, he said, oh, you can't work there. You can't work any sales.
Because you're taking people's credit cards and
no,
stuff?
Well, I don't know. But look, like on my judgment commitment, it said I couldn't work in finance or as a consultant. I get it.
Yeah.
I also couldn't work in development for or work
any kind of fundraising type of
right,
thing.
or construction, because I did construction work, which I would buy houses and fix them up. So it's construction.
Right.
Like the fuck does
they
that
just want you staying far away from anything even remotely relating to the crime that you committed before.
Right. So he's down to working at a fast food restaurant, which wouldn't even hire him, right? Because he's got a felony, just got out of prison. Whatever. So he had a real problem. And instead of saying, hey, these are problems, but I can make money doing other things, and I will find those things, and I'm going to be okay, I'm going to do it no matter what. He didn't. He just complained and bitched and moaned and complained and borrowed money from everybody he could and bitched and bitched and bitched. And he was miserable. He's miserable in prison. He was the same way in prison. He also periodically would do drugs in prison. And if you talk to him, you wouldn't think he was a drug. He did drugs. And then when he got out, I don't think he was doing drugs. What I think was he probably saved up some money and did a bunch of drugs. And he never paid me back the $500, by the way. He died. Yeah. So he gets out of it. That's a pass.
Well, I'm sorry he died. I'm sorry he wasn't unable to find peace.
I am too.
Yeah.
Because and
you handled him
I liked
better than I would have under the same circumstances. I mean, someone bad rap me on the internet. They're gonna.
Matt likes to play up the scumbaggery, but I mean,
no, Matt's a saint.
He does
I've
a lot of
established
things
that.
behind the scenes that he doesn't talk about.
I mean,
like, I just think
even
about
your trip
even
to
him running
Utah.
out in the street for that ladder when we're at lunch. I'm thinking to myself,
that story is in my the book I'm writing.
Oh my gosh, you're killing me.
Listen to this, Tom.
Yes.
I was leaving the studio here like I don't know, a month ago, and there's a guy that's unloading like a golf cart or a gator, kind of small little tractor out of his box truck. I drive by and I purposely do not look at this guy because I'm like, I'm not helping this guy. I'm going home. I come here the next day, and as I'm pulling into the driveway or into the parking lot, I'm like, you know what? I bet Matt probably saw this guy. And sure enough, when I came in the studio, he's like, oh, did you see this guy? And he got out to like help him. Like, hey, do you need any help? And I'm just thinking like, that is something for people that like, say, oh, Matt's a scumbag, whatever.
No.
Like on the same turn, me who, quote unquote, live by the book or whatever, that doesn't even cross my mind to help this guy.
The number of people you help that I don't even know that you talk about them, who you employ and provide money to for very little value coming back to you is staggering to me. And it's impressive. And that's why you're going to die broke.
Yeah. No doubt. I have no doubt.
Yeah, you're a good man.
It's funny too because that guy with the gator, he recognized me after I stopped. And I rolled the window, and he's walking out. I'm like, hey man, do you need any help? And I'm like, I don't and I'm because I was thinking like I don't think we could lift it. Like it's a big thing, right?
Yeah.
Like and he goes, man, he said, there's nothing. He said it's this. We're not going to be able to. He said you're not going to be. And he looked at me and goes, you're on YouTube. I watch it. And I went, get out of here.
Of course.
So funny.
Yeah.
All right.
One of his favorite guests.
I got a few questions for you guys, or at least donations.
Yeah, lay it on me.
So here, Tom, here's one for you.
Okay.
Tom, when you went undercover, have you ever slept with any of your investigations or been told to flirt?
No, that's a completely fair question.
Yes.
They spend a lot of time in undercover school teaching you how to not to get laid.
Really?
Which turns out something I'm really good at.
I was going to say,
I'm exceptionally good at not getting laid.
enough said, got this.
Yeah, right. So what I did during the short undercovers where I'm playing like Tom the rich guy and all that, that's easy. But when I was undercover for 2 full years living as someone else at some point, and so what I did was I created a fake girlfriend in St. Croix that I was very committed to, and when you do a long-term undercover, they send you to a psychologist every 90 days, and so every 90 days I went away to go to another city to go talk to a psychologist to keep me somewhat sane, and it didn't work, but it kept me sane, and everyone thought I was going to St. Croix to get laid with my girlfriend. And so that's the way it is. Here's the problem. But the other question about flirting, absolutely all the time, 100% of the time. You do that because being charming is part of gaining people's trust, so they'll be candid and honest with you. And so you're doing that all the time. You just don't cross the line into sexual activity when you're undercover because it's going to look really bad on the stand. Like,
yeah, I was going to say they're going to use that. They're going to use that against you.
You cannot have sex with people under false pretenses because if you're on the stand, you're just going to get crucified. There's not a woman in that jury who's going to listen to anything you have to say about crime. So,
right.
So sex, no. Flirt, yes.
All right, let's do a few more. This is more just of someone saying, Matt, your outlook on people is very Christ-like. You show grace and understanding. If you handled pardons, you would separate the bad actors from the people serving excessive sentences. You'd be fairer than most lawyers. It's a $10 donation there.
Yeah, talk for a little bit about why you're like Jesus.
Yeah. You don't have to say anything. I'm just gonna address
well, let's get Matt the floor. Talk to us about how you're like
I'd
Jesus.
Like to talk about.
Let's see. Are you good on that one?
I'm good.
Yeah, Tom.
Because I don't think that pardons are necessarily the good and the bad. I think there's other stuff that's happening.
Yes.
If you donate, I'm going to read the question, unless it's just out of line. So, Tom, what is the biggest misconception people have about the FBI?
The biggest misconception. Okay, the one that I hate the most, and it's a big misconception. There's two that actually I hate, and they're both completely wrong. One is the idea that the FBI comes and steals cases from the police. That has never happened once in 125 years of the FBI's existence, but it is a trope that lazy Hollywood screenwriters use all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like, step aside for the big boys. And you're like, what do you mean? I'm on the verge of breaking this thing. And we're taking this case now.
They're just going to come in here and the feds are going to take a case.
It's never happened. Quite often, the police are more than happy to give cases to you, and we're happy to give cases to the police. There's more than enough crime in America to go around. The second one is that somehow the FBI is at odds or in competition with the CIA. Absolutely ridiculous. Our jobs are so different. Like the FBI are investigators. We conduct investigations. We put bad guys in prison. The CIA are not investigators. They don't know how to conduct investigations because it's not what they do for a living. The FBI is here in the U.S. building criminal cases. The CIA doesn't build criminal cases. The FBI is here protecting the homeland from terrorist attacks and catching spies in our country. That's not what the CIA does. What does the CIA do? They are overseas building informants that they call assets and convincing them to provide information from the foreign governments to the CIA so they can get that to our policymakers to make better decisions. The relationship between the FBI and the CIA is one of information sharing. We are pushing intelligence to them, and they are pushing intelligence to us. And that was the failure of the pre-9/11 FBI and CIA, is that information was stovepiped. But the idea that we're somehow at odds with each other, there's some kind of rivalry, or that even FBI agents, most of them will go their entire career without having a single bit of contact with the CIA because we don't have the same jobs, and nor do we operate in the same arenas.
Matt, what's one thing you're still learning as a host? By the way, I love the podcast, especially when Tom is on.
Especially.
So one thing that you're still learning about being a host.
Tom is extremely manipulative.
In what way?
And I wait, when you lay out your whole stories, and I need to go with my gut. I need to go with my gut and not let him move me, because sometimes it's subtle, and then I realize no, it was a trap. I mean, sometimes it's obvious, but and the problem is sometimes you're moving me. And this is just to lull me into a false sense of security, where you'll actually you'll do it, and I'll be like, no, are you sure? Come on, but listen, listen, and you'll go through it again, knowing I'm not going to move from my position, and had I moved, I would have gotten the right answer. But you only do that when you know he's not gonna. He'll never.
I want you to consider all the facts before you make a decision. I'm an honest broker.
Oh my gosh.
I think he's talking specifically about the host,
in general, being a host of the show,
like a normal guest, guest.
With Tom, I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, the game show's a very different format than your normal format. When you have a normal dude on there, what are some of the innovations that you've learned?
Recently, I don't think I've learned much of anything, but I think over the first 2 years, I kind of realized that I need to try and talk less. And I've gotten better, where I think I'm down to maybe talking 5%, 10% of the time, where I used to talk 20% of the time. I was constantly trying to...
Giving your guests time to breathe and tell their stories.
Yeah, well, throwing in my own stuff, because I kept thinking that the people that were watching, want me to interject myself more into... But, I'm not... What I've realized is, I'm not Joe Rogan, right? I can't talk... It's not a Joe Rogan style podcast. It's you're here to tell your story. So what I try and do is help you tell your story, because some people, they jump all over the place.
And terrible storytellers.
I'll give you one example, and they don't even know they don't even know that they're doing it. Yeah. For instance, the guy we interviewed, Jeremy Meeks, which was a great podcast, but because of the life that he lived, this guy, we're kind of wrapping up the podcast, and he's talked about how he met his ex-wife. And he says he's going in to get a bottom bed pass, so he could get the bottom bed in prison. If you sleep hot at night, you know how disruptive that can be. When you're not resting well, everything else feels harder. Your focus, your mood, even your recovery. GhostBed is here to help you fix that. They've spent decades perfecting how to build a bed that's comfortable, durable, and designed to actually help you rest. Every ghost bed mattress features premier materials, proven cooling technology, and their exclusive ProCore layer, a targeted support system that reinforces the center of the mattress where the body is heaviest. It helps keep your spine aligned and your back supported, so you can wake up ready for anything 2026 throws at you. Each mattress comes with a 101 night sleep trial and a 20 to 25 year warranty, so you can try it risk-free, knowing it's built to last. Shipping is fast and free. Most orders arrive in 2 to 5 days. GhostBed has great prices to begin with, up to 50% off comparable brands. And Inside True Crime listeners can get an extra 10% off site-wide for a limited time. Just go to ghostbed.com/Cox and use promo code Cox at checkout. That's ghostbed.com/Cox, promo code Cox. Upgrade your sleep with GhostBed, the makers of the coolest bed in the world. Some exclusions apply. See site for details. And he goes in, and I said, why'd you think you get? He goes, I always get one. I go, yeah, but how? Like, how is that possible?
Is that advantageous? Everyone wants the bottom
Of
bunk?
course, yeah. You don't have to climb up. It's a pain in the ass. Okay. And you're in a disadvantage if something happened. Not that the prisons I was at, but the types he was, you want to be on the bottom bunk.
Okay.
So, and so as we're talking, he said, well, no, I always get one. I'm like, how? And he's like, well, I have 3 bullets in me. And he said, so I go into I go, well, what do you mean you have 3 bullets in you? We've just talked for 2 hours, by the way.
He buried the lead.
He went, and I went, and he goes, yeah, exactly. And I went, he said, yeah. Oh, I got shot when I was like, I don't know, I was like 19 or something. So anyway, I meet my wife, and I'm going to go back. He's like, that's a long story. I said, what do you think we're doing here?
Yeah.
Like, go back. So he tells that whole story, and Colby takes it and puts it in the correct chronological order. So the person watching doesn't know that this has happened. Colby edits it, and it's great. It's seamless. It goes right into it. But my point is that sometimes you have to help someone tell their story. Because for him, that was no big deal. He's already talked about all these stabbings and violence and everything else. So that being shot, nobody died, and it was fine, no big deal. No, in his life, that was normal. Not realizing that the guy who's driving, a long-distance truck driver, wants to hear that. He's never been shot. That's a huge thing. So what I've learned is to try and help people craft their stories. And then sometimes, but see, it's really Colby, because sometimes somebody will talk and you get to that point where they've been talking about their high school experience for 30 minutes and I'm realizing none of this is making it in. Yeah. And so finally I'm like, okay, well, so when did you graduate? And I just jumped them forward like a year and a half, and I trying to get him, and knowing Colby's cutting all this out, so we can stop talking about this, because I already know you didn't get in trouble till you were 30, and you were in the military. So I know that none of that happened in high school. So let's get through this. So it's helping craft the story without making them feel uncomfortable or feeling rushed.
Do you think over time you become a better interviewer?
Yeah, I definitely became a better interviewer. It's but for me it's more difficult than it would be for someone like Lex Friedman or Joe Rogan or these guys that everybody looks to, because I don't think that they struggle with, and you're probably gonna say something, but with narcissism as much as I do. Because for me,
do you feel you have narcissistic personality disorder?
My God, yeah, I definitely think I am. I'm not so narcissistic that I will not admit when I'm wrong, but when I was younger, I definitely would.
Interesting.
Throughout the years, I've realized that it's okay to be wrong. Matter of fact, it's advantageous for you to admit that you're wrong immediately and take 100% responsibility. But only because I know that's an advantage for me do I do it. Where my natural instinct is immediately deny, and because that's what true narcissists
be defensive.
do. Be defensive. No, it's not. No, I never said that. That's not the way to go about life. So I think I've learned a lot of things, but my natural inclination while talking is listening to you, waiting for an opportunity to talk about myself. That's what I want to do. I'm waiting for an in.
It's the Matt Cox show.
It's horrible. It's a horrible, horrible feeling and situation, walking away from talking to someone for 30 minutes, on the street, whatever, you meet somebody, and walking away and thinking, I don't know a fucking thing about that guy. He came up to me and talked to me, and I talked about myself the whole time. I couldn't tell you what that dude did for a living.
Interesting.
You didn't ask a fucking thing. Horrible, bro.
I took Simon Sinek. You know him?
No, it sounds familiar.
Simon Sinek, Sinek. He has, I think, the biggest TED Talk ever. And he's a public speaker, like you and I, but like he's like at a different level, like
Right.
and it's probably pulling down $100,000 a speech. And I did his public speaking course on basically how to put together the presentations that you and I do, keynote speeches.
Right.
And he said the first thing you need to do is don't make the speech about you, make it about them. The stories may be about you, but the speech is about them. On what benefit are they going to take away from this? Make the entire speech about the audience and how they can use this information for themselves, as opposed to you just telling clever stories. And that changed my speech considerably.
Okay. I actually think I already do that to a degree, only because I'm speaking to financial institutions and everyone has a different agenda. Some are based on the underwriting, some are based on security, so I go in there knowing like, well, what is this seminar about?
Right.
Because I want to know so that I can talk more about this or more about that.
Yeah.
And I would say Matt has done a good job of over the years of keeping the guests on track, because now we know what we're looking for and he'll circle them back. Sometimes, I was explaining this to my wife the other day, actually, is sometimes I feel like what's normal feelings for Matt, like he doesn't think to ask, or he doesn't want to ask like the emotional question. Like, for example, we had a guy last week who got 2 life sentences at 14, and we were moving through a story, and at the end, like me personally, I'm curious on how did you feel getting 2 life sentences at 14 years old? And I'm thinking to myself, Matt probably knows the feeling and just kind of, okay, what happened next?
Yeah.
So I asked him at the end, and he had like this whole thing about he, had to be strong for his mom, and he told his mom it's going to be okay at 14 years old. But then he goes on his bunk and he knows his life is over.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sort of surprised, Colby, because you're in touch with this stuff. That you and Matt can't come up with some sort of system where you can prompt him or get him a message or have a board up here with a computer where you type in something for Matt to look at.
Colby can, but now we're at a point where Colby can ask that
That's
question.
a good point.
And I would like
Colby's
to
now a
ask
character
it.
on the show.
That way, it
That's a
just
good
kind
point.
of, I try to, I don't try to interject unless I know, like, oh, this would be a good segment to interject. But yeah, let's see. There's a few more questions that I need to get through. Are you guys good?
Yeah. lay it on
Yeah.
me.
Okay. Let's see. Tom, can you and Matt go on a PI investigation together? We would love to watch an episode of you doing your work with Matt.
Matt doing a ride along.
Yeah.
I think
He could get a child's seat and put it in the back.
This is something that I was thinking of, and it maybe kind of tie into this. I was thinking this on the way over here. People always ask, like, oh, you should do this type of episode, or you should, like, walk around Ybor City. I wonder how many people, if we made a video like that and put it behind a paywall, like, hey, $10, and here's a 30-minute vlog of us walking through Tampa, how many people would pay the $10 the one time?
walking through Tampa and doing what?
They want me to go to like this is a house and then tell about the house. Like this house, I bought this house for this much money. I bought it as
Your story.
and then explain about is that right?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Go through like this house I borrowed 3 mortgages on. This house was
that'd be
I
kinda
bought
neat.
it for $40,000 and got it appraised for $220, whatever.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean it could be, but like it would have to be on a separate platform because and people keep saying those types of things.
Yeah, but you're not in the business of producing
Right, and
little
that's-
mini documentaries.
Right, and so what would happen is what they don't realize is that every time we deviate slightly or too much, it gets 15 to 20,000 views because there are some people that are going to watch no matter what. They're going to watch.
Yeah.
But had we taken that same space and interviewed a credit card counterfeiter, that space could have gotten 150,000 views.
I get it.
That time slot. So
To answer the listener's question, though, my investigations as a financial crime investigator don't usually involve a lot of like surveillance
You're not
and
staking out for-
I used to do that when I was a new private investigator, but it's a really good way to go broke. The average private investigator. Oh, here's some trivia for you. What does the average private investigator in America make per year? The average licensed private investigator. Give me a number.
gosh, I don't know. I'm sure it's much lower than I think. 75,000.
55,000.
Oh, okay.
And most of them are working themselves into poverty, sitting in their cars, getting diabetes, watching a door that doesn't open, looking for the cheating husband who's not going to be cheating that night because he's just Netflixing and chilling at home, or waiting for someone to go out and begin reshingling their roof on an insurance case when they're home doing workers' compensation cases. It's not dishonorable work, but it's not how I want to make a living.
Right.
So financial crime cases is what I do, where I'm advocating for crime victims. I'm talking to, I'm talking to the bad guy. But it
You also have a different skill set than most of those guys.
Right. It doesn't make for good television,
Right.
what I do, but it makes for a good income for me. And so the idea of you sitting there while I'm on the phone with some crime victim saying, and then how much did you give him? Was that an interstate wire? And all that probably wouldn't be compelling television.
Yeah.
The ride along with me would be boring.
Okay, here's a question. Do you think the federal government will ever open up sealing expungement in the way the states do? And what is your opinion on the states allowing sealing/expungement? Also, thanks for all you guys do.
I don't think that there is enough of a constituency who wants to see that happen that it will ever pass Congress and get made into federal law. For those of you who don't understand what the question is, that in the state systems, if you're a good boy after you've committed a crime, that you can apply to have it expunged from the record, where it disappears from the criminal history. They literally take your fingerprints and take them out of the system and all that. And it's almost like a pardon that you still have that conviction, but they're expunging it from the record so it can't come back to haunt you. The federal system does not have that, and it's not going to happen because Congress would have to pass an unpopular law that would be beneficial to criminals, call it what it is, and the president would need to do that, and they need to get elected again. And so they're not going to do anything to make themselves look sympathetic to criminals or soft on crime.
Okay, here's a question for both you guys, and you maybe know this guy. Jacob Donalds is about all I can read, maybe Jacob Donaldson. Tom, I'd love for you and Matt to come speak in the Bahamas. Last time, a graduation got in the way, but hopefully you can make it this time. Thanks for answering all the questions.
Do you have
Tonight
a
was
gig
lot
for
of
me to
fun.
speak in the Bahamas? If so, the answer is yes.
This was the guy we were going to go to Orlando. Remember?
Graduation got in the way is what he
Yes,
said.
your son's graduation got in the way.
Oh.
You couldn't go.
Oh, yeah.
It turned out first he contacted me and wanted me to come.
Right.
And then it became, we want you both to come. And then you couldn't go.
Because my son was graduating from college. Yeah.
And I lost the gig.
Oh, sorry, buddy.
And I was like, okay, I'm starting to feel like you
if this-
wanted Tom the whole time.
If this has now become the Bahamas,
yeah,
Yes,
that sounds
that's what
pretty
the,
cool.
Very
that's
good.
What, that's what the message says.
sir,
Yeah,
why
he's
don't
a
you-
Salesforce.
Jacob Donaldson?
SimonInvestigations.com. Please reach out for me and let me broker this one instead of Matt. We'll make it happen.
Matt,
And we'll make sure the dollar amount split is appropriate.
really quick, Matt. Someone asked, how did they get a signed book?
Etsy.
Okay.
If you go to, because my wife is in charge of it. If you go to the Etsy, it's Cox Pop Art. If you go to Cox Pop Art on Etsy, I'll write anything you want in the book. And Jess handles the whole thing. She goes and gets a book. She sits down. She says, this guy wants a signed copy. This is what. And honestly, you know what I charge? Like, I don't charge anything. Like, I think we charge $25 a book. If you buy the book from
Amazon?
from Amazon, they're $22. Like, and we have to we ship it. We
Trust
charge
me, I
to
know.
ship.
The Matt Cox signed book you gave my bride is on full display in the house. Every time I walk in the house, it's sitting there in like a little temple to it. Like it's got like a light shining on it from different angles. It's a really great ego boost for me to come home and see this shrine to Matt Cox in my house. Yeah.
Here's a quick one, Tom. Tom, has Matt made you a better investigator?
Has Matt made me a better investigator? Matt has made me a better public speaker. Matt has made me a better interviewee. Matt has made me a better person. But Matt has not made me a better investigator.
Okay. Here's
In fairness, Matt's not an investigator. It's not what he does.
Yeah.
So here's a question for both of you guys. Has your new friendship made either of you look back and view your former careers differently? Matt, do you have a more positive feelings about law enforcement as a result of meeting Tom?
I don't think the problem is like if you ever watch any of my interviews, I don't think I've ever had a bad image of law enforcement. I've had a bad image of, let's say, certain law enforcement officers. There was an FBI agent, Candace Calderon, who just despised me and just like hates me for. But my understanding is from even the other FBI agents was that she just hates, if you've committed a crime at all, she just hates your guts. Like she just, and I mean livid. She's just disgusted with you.
Like that,
yeah. And that's just who she is. And she doesn't have to like me. And also, I don't think that she didn't. I don't think it affected what she did. In the investigation, it's not like
she remained professional otherwise.
she didn't. It's not like she padded the numbers.
Yeah.
It's not like she did anything. So even though you're making cracks and you're rude, what it made me think of her was she was not a professional.
Mm-hmm.
She was not didn't behave professionally.
Yeah.
And you expect me as a criminal to be polite to you and professional. It would be nice. Not all are, but I was always professional. I'm always professional and polite and everything. But she would make these snide, derogatory comments to me. Everybody else in the room is perfectly fine. Like everybody's polite.
Yeah.
And she's, it's like
That's a personality trait.
but that's her.
Yeah.
Everybody else I felt was very professional. I just think that they're just doing what they do. I mean, periodically in any organization, you're going to have somebody you're going to have a jerk off, right?
Sure. My answer is let me give you a little context. I grew up reading Marvel comics and spy novels and crime novels where the bad guys are really bad. They're bad all the time, and there was nothing redeemable about them. And then when I became an FBI special agent and I started investigating these criminals and finding that they were mostly just kind of normal people who made some really bad choices, and with clear, economic fallout and death and destruction in their path, but they weren't bad people all the time. That wasn't like their core character wasn't just the evil where they sat up and wanted to do bad things. And so I came to understand over time that criminals are often, I'm not going to say victims of circumstances, but they're reacting poorly to the circumstances of their lives and making really bad choices along the way. But it doesn't mean that they are throughout horrible people. And getting to know Matt and becoming good friends with him over time has solidified that in my mind, that this is not a person who ever was probably filled with evil, but just chose to made some really bad choices in his life. And I think that people are more than the worst choices that they've made and the worst things that they've done. And I do think you're Christ-like the other guy said.
It's true.
Okay. Love this show, Matt. Been a fan for a long time. Finally started my own. Keep up the good work. Caruso was my favorite so far. So here's a question. Matt, to give you some context or just some people some more information, the company who produced this Inside the Mind of a Con Artist kind of con man evaluation show, we're going to be reacting to it eventually again and putting on a separate channel. But Matt, how did it feel to be on the episode where they had you in the weird empty building and they had you do the psychological test? And kind of tell Tom about the show to see if he would like to eventually react to it, because we got the approval to use the full episode on YouTube.
Okay.
So we do need to find somebody to react to that with.
So I was flown to the show is based on they take con artists and they put them through a battery of tests, for multiple psychiatrists, psychologists, whatever, and they're all different types of tests, and then they kind of then they all get together and they describe who you are and
That's kind of neat.
Yeah. So I thought it was interesting. I didn't feel like it was weird. What's funny is even though if you watch the video,
more like EKGs or more like Rorschach tests or what?
Kind of
they
Rorschach.
did have those they had those brain things.
At one point, you put a thing on with the thing,
so
and
like
they're showing
a brain
pictures.
MRI.
Yeah, it's that, and it's lots of your different.
What network is this on?
This is on Curiosity Stream, and the reason I wanted to bring up that question is because we're planning on basically starting a kind of a reactionary channel where we have these guests that come on the show. We already have the studio. We already have the, quote unquote expert here.
Right.
What if we just turn on the body cam footage or some type of movie clip or something for them to react to for an extra 20
Right, like
30
if you're a
minutes?
bank robber, then we just go ahead and do an extra 20 minutes or so and watch a bank robbery clip.
That's the number one YouTube channel in France is that, and
Yeah.
they just launched their U.S. channel. I was on the first episode doing exactly that. It's called Flare, Flare, and so if you wanted to steal their format, go for it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
so
you were doing they were showing you different
Movies.
FBI movies and stuff. Yeah.
And I would critique them and do voiceovers.
Yeah, that's
So we're kind of thinking about doing something similar to that, where it's like we already have everything set up, we're already recording, and Curiosity Stream, like when we posted this video a few years ago, they actually took it down for copyright strike, but now they have a new head of media, and he's reached out and is like wants to kind of partner, like, hey, like you guys can react to anything on our platform, so we might redo that and put that on that secondary channel.
But one of the what was interesting is that with they had me in that big creepy building and everything like that, and that I'm just sitting there by myself, and it's this massive room, and it's it looks like I'm alone the whole time.
Yeah.
There's 20 people standing around me
Hollywood,
with holding the boom mics and
Were you paid
the
for this?
cameras. Huh?
Were you paid for this gig?
Yeah, I got 8,000. I think $8,000.
Nice.
It's like 10,000 euros, which was like 8,000 something American.
What country did they film in?
It was in the Netherlands. I went to Amsterdam.
Oh,
It was great. Yeah.
God,
By the way, this was when I was first on probation.
Huh.
So I had been on
You get
probation.
special permission from the
Of
U.S.
course.
probation. Yeah.
How am I going to get a pass? I went to my probation officer and I'm like, hey, I want to do this thing. And she's like, I can't let you leave the country. She goes, and she sat there. She goes, I don't even think you can get a passport. She goes, aren't your charges passport fraud? I said, just 2 of them. And she's like, didn't you had a bunch of, you start looking through the file.
That's so funny.
And so I said, well, can I ask the judge? She goes, yeah, you can ask the judge. I don't think he's going to let you do it. I said, well, I mean, you guys expect me to pay restitution?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, you can ask. So we sent in a motion. The judge was like, yeah, give him his passport. I got a passport and I flew in. This is when I came back in the United States and they stopped me and coming in, which was hilarious. So I'm never alone. It's never, and that building, by the way, was a museum. This was in the middle of COVID. It was a museum that had been closed, so they were allowed to go in there and use it. And so they had these, museums. They'll do
It's
the
a
really
beautiful set then,
of
huh?
course,
Yeah.
super cool building, cool shape. The rooms are, they set it up like it was this institution that had been set up to study con men, and it was actually located in like Iceland. So you're driving in a car. They show me driving in a car, looking out at the. But really, it's a bunch of guys on. There's a green screen. There's a bunch of guys outside the car rocking it, and I'm.
You're acting.
Oh, it's the whole thing.
That's so
Listen,
fun.
it really is great. Like if you watch the thing, the whole thing is shot amazingly. But I'm in Amsterdam. Like I'm not ice. Like I always remember thinking, like, what's my probation officer going to do if she sees this? When did you go to Iceland? Where'd you go? What's that? No. I was never went there.
Yeah, that's cool.
What do you think about changing the gun laws so misdemeanor DV can get one? I don't know what that means.
Okay, so what the issue is this? This is an issue. So if you have a domestic violence conviction, even as a misdemeanor, you are not allowed to have a firearm. And this was a very big deal for law enforcement officers. When they passed that law, it was retroactive. So there were like cops or even FBI agents who had who pled out to a misdemeanor domestic violence based on an argument they got with their now ex-wife 10 years ago,
Right.
who now can't carry their gun on the job as cops.
That's just stupid.
And so I guess if it's a misdemeanor domestic violence, they're asking us a public policy question. I would not be freaked out at somebody who had a misdemeanor domestic violence. How about this? 5-year cooling off period. I want to know that you've been able to live 5 years without beating up a woman before you can have your gun back.
Oh, that sounds fair.
All right. Let's see. Thanks for the show. Thanks for sharing your story. So many guys are talking about how to start channels and write their own stories is the statement.
Don't do it. We can't stand the competition.
No, that's
There's
not
a-
true. Everybody should have a channel.
Let's see. Here's one. I really enjoyed the podcast. Matt, what's your favorite part of being in prison? I know it sucked, but was there anything that you missed?
The bologna sandwiches.
There's another not in prison. That's the transport. This is so funny because like I said, when I went to talk to those guys, I was like, although I had a bunch of time and initially I hated it. Once I got past that, I started telling myself, wait a minute, like what you need to change your mindset of this being a horrible issue to what's good about it. And I remember I constantly would tell myself like this is a gift of time.
Yeah.
You will never have you're being taken care of. All your bills are paid.
You're on scholarship.
Exactly. Your bills are being paid. If you want to read the Game of Thrones series, read it twice. If you want to read for the first time in your life, all of the excuses of I don't have the time, you do. So if you want to write your memoir, you can. Well, I don't know how. You can learn how. You can buy a couple books, read those books, learn how to write. Well, I want to do this, but I can't learn. Well, you can buy a book on how to write programs. You can read the book. You may not be able to program right now, but you can have extensive knowledge on how to do it. And so I thought that was great because I had the gift of the ability to do the things that would allow me to retrain myself and become a person that I couldn't have ever been on the street. And the other thing was, you meet people from, what's interesting is there would be a guy from NASA who used to work for NASA. He's living with a guy that, never left the projects.
Yeah.
And so it was a
melting pot.
It was a melting pot. You had the ability to meet people that had master's degrees and people that you just normally didn't rub elbows with.
Okay, so you've written, how many books have you written in your life?
I want to say it's 8 or 9. I think it's probably 9 now.
So the corollary to that question is, do you think you ever would have written a book if you had not gone to prison?
I had written a book prior to that.
Oh, did you? My mistake.
I did. It was not a good book.
Oh, okay.
So it was it was a book that I wrote about. It was kind of a John Grisham-ish book, but it wasn't great.
A novel, a fiction book.
It was a fiction book. Yeah, had I not gone to prison, I never would have.
Did it ever get published?
No, it was horrible.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know what I was doing. And so when I went to prison, I never would have written all these nonfiction books, And so I had to learn how to write those.
Mm-hmm.
You end up having to learn how to write like a journalist.
You use your time really productively.
I mean,
most people don't, right? Most people sit around and do push-ups and get in fights and bicker with each other and watch TV.
They're playing handball and learning how to do horticulture but what I thought was, it's funny too, because everybody says the same thing, where to me, I thought I'm keeping myself entertained and maybe this will work out.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that. I wanted it to work out, but I didn't focus on that because I thought it would depress me if it's got to work out. Okay, well, things change.
Right.
But it occupies my time and I really enjoy it.
Sort of what people say. That's what you should do when you're writing a book. It should, it should be for the love of the experience.
Right. And I loved that the guys that I was writing about loved it. Mm-hmm. Like they would, or if I wrote a story, and I've written like 24 synopses, right, of people's stories, which are really like long articles. Mm-hmm. And these guys would just, when they were done, they were just like, I could have never told my story like this.
That's gratifying.
It was just, it's just the best feeling, because they knew they had a story, but it's so hard to tell your story. You just don't see who you really are. Mm-hmm. And I would write these stories, and there was good stuff and there was bad stuff. Yeah. And I put the bad stuff in there too, because of that it makes you more credible when you say the good stuff if you admit to the bad things.
For sure.
So yeah, it was a great experience.
I was doing a job for a guy. He wanted me to give him a fake invoice for $180,000 when I only paid him $50,000 for the job. How much fraud is that?
It sounds like the difference between $50,000 and $180,000 worth of fraud. $130,000 worth of fraud.
So what if the guy's doing that? Like what's the benefit?
He's probably trying to borrow that money on the invoice, or he's trying to get
reimbursed by someone. Yeah,
reimbursed for 180 when he only spent 50. There's multiple ways you could use that. Something like that. It could be a refinance on a house. It could be purchasing a house where you're trying to get money back, or get paid for that full invoice. I mean, and that's that's fraud. At the very least, although Tom would know for sure, I don't think you having written that invoice would necessarily get you charged if...
I disagree.
Well, I'm saying unless you profited from it probably, or you denied it or something. No? Okay. Well, I'm
just going back to this our conversation earlier. Sometimes people do something,
Yeah, you're right.
Don't do anything dishonest.
No, I'm not saying do it. What I'm saying is the guy who's really in trouble is the guy getting the money. The guy who wrote the...
Agreed, but now you're in a conspiracy with the guy.
I understand. Yeah. I understand. I'm just saying, usually, this is what I had always heard. Like, if someone verifies a W-2,
mm-hmm.
they don't usually indict that person if that person's willing to cooperate. But if they knew what was going on and it was like it was... I don't know, if they were really more involved than just I picked up the phone and said, yeah, he works here. Mm-hmm. They said, yeah, I worked here. Well, I was just doing a favor for a friend. I didn't understand. They probably are going to be, as long as they're open and explain what's going on and are willing to cooperate and testify, they're probably not going to get charged. But if this is something they're doing on an active time, they're doing it over and over again, and they're definitely involved and they know what's happening and they're doing it, and if they're sharing in the profit, you're getting indicted. But I mean, I could be, like I said, I don't know.
Why invite this problem anyway?
Yeah,
I'm saying you shouldn't do it no matter what.
Yeah. There's
Yeah, it
just
seems like
there's-
sometimes we have some guests that are like, this was completely 100% wrong, but it's like you were walking a gray line.
Yeah.
Like you should.
do not facilitate
Yeah.
someone else's crime.
Right.
Okay, let's see. Here we go. Matt, the larger you get, this. Okay, let me. I have an issue reading out loud. It's an issue for me.
Are you're trust me, you have in comparison to me?
Yeah, I know, but like,
You want me to read the questions?
So here we go. Matt, do you think? Well, the question. Sometimes I think it's the wording of the questions.
Yeah, sometimes they're not smooth.
Yeah. So Matt, do you think the larger you get, the smaller your guest pool gets? Some criminals are less likely to share to such a large audience. Well, I think, and not you can answer it, but I mean, we don't want anybody who's actively committing anything, anyways. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like the people we're having on shouldn't have anything to hide.
Yeah.
I don't think there's probably ever been a situation where someone's like, I'd love to tell my story to you, but you're just too popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had people that have wanted to come on and cover their face, and it's just like, okay, yeah, it's just.
Yeah, we've done those before. They're horrible. They don't work. They don't get views. Nobody wants to
Yeah,
do that. But
right.
and so we don't have people on that we believe or that are telling us that they're actively committing crimes. However, we did have a guy on recently named Ellis Cook.
Yeah, people were asking for an update on him, actually. So
Okay.
now that you brought
What
it
was
up.
his thing?
So he was a drug dealer. He was selling drugs, and one of his big things was he rode a motorcycle pretty much everywhere because he had never been caught on a motorcycle. He would lose the cops on motorcycles all the time. The other thing he would do is he would have his girlfriend rent a car, and then he would drive the rental car because he knew when they ran the tag it didn't show up in his name because if it shows up in his name, he's a convicted drug dealer.
Right.
So he'd drive the car and use it to drop off goods or whatever product. And then so they were just little things. So he goes through the whole thing and he tells the story. He's got a bunch of chases and close calls. And he has a great opening thing where he was like 17 years old and he'd robbed somebody. Somebody had robbed him and then he robbed the guy back. And then he went to trial for a home invasion because he was a home invasion to get the money back. And he got found not guilty. And he's got a great story behind why it happened. And the guy on the stand decided not to testify because his supplier had pulled the guy aside and said, if this guy goes to jail, like you're done. So he's got a great story in general. And he was another guy and he was very smart and very sharp. And he has all these little sayings that he says back. He's just quick with a sharp comeback, a snotty jerk off smart comeback. That's just, but they're hilarious. He's really funny. I always liked Cook. So, and the whole time I was like, you got to do this, bro. You got to start a channel. You got to start a channel. I was like, here's what you got to do. I can help you do it. Like, you got to get a computer. You can get a used computer. And I was like, look, you can get a used one for $300. You can get a used MacBook Pro. It'll be 4 years old, but it's perfectly fine. You could do. And I'm telling him, he's like, nah, bro, I'll get a brand new. How much are they brand new? Well, I mean, what do you mean? Well, what are you using? Bro, you don't want to buy. You don't want to use what I'm using.
Yeah.
Like you don't need it.
There's like a TV station here. At this
Yeah,
point,
it's and it's I'm trying to teach them how to do it just by doing remotes through StreamYard, and we're saying you can use our StreamYard. We don't even use it. Well, I'll give you. We can have so many people use it. You can be one of the people. I'm trying to help him. Everything, texting him, this and that, and one day I get a text from. I text him and I said, "Hey man, what happened?" Like he had just bought the computer. So I told him, I said, we're going to do a test run. You're going to, and we'll go back. And he was on probation, federal probation still. And one day he bought it. He said, bro, I just bought the thing. Boom, boom. Give me tomorrow, whatever. I didn't hear from him a couple days. And I texted him back, I said, hey man, what's going on? I didn't hear anything. And then I get a text back saying, this is Cook's girlfriend. I have his phone. He's been arrested for transporting X amount of drugs, and she sent me the article. And did I tell you this?
No.
And so then I start getting phone calls from him. I'm like,
From prison?
from the jail.
Yeah, jail.
Like, what's going on? He's like, man, they, bro, this is what happened in this, and he tells me what happened on the jail phone.
On the recorded line?
Yeah, but not he's not specific, but I can read between the lines.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, bro, so he's telling me the whole thing. But now he's contacting me every once in a while saying, hey, he's got to get a lawyer. He's got to get this, get that. And I'm like, yeah, you do. Good luck. Like I can't help. At this point, you're
such a problem.
You're done. You know. And so, but we're talking. He's calling every once in a while. And here's what's interesting: is that, and he's telling all these things, and I'm thinking to myself, is this true? Is he trying to make me feel bad? He drives the car. The cop pulls him behind him. He turns right away, get off the road, pulls into a house, whatever, down this long road. The cop catches up to him.
Yeah.
And of course, his story is, I was dropping off this girl. This is her aunt's. It really was her aunt's. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I didn't even know you were behind me. And the guy's like, oh, okay. And he gets his ID and everything. And he says, okay. And he looks at him and he recognizes him. And he says into his thing, he's like, hey, I got a big one here. I'm going to need backup. I got some, like, whatever the cop says it in the body camera and everything. And he shows up, and what Cook eventually learned was that the police officer recognized, after he pulled him over, recognized him from the podcast and knew he was a drug dealer. Yeah. And knew he constantly had weapons charges, and knew that he's driving a rented vehicle in his girlfriend's name. Yeah. And then so they search the whole area. They find a weapon. They find they search the car. There's a book bag it's got all kinds of stuff in it. Now it's the girl in the seats. It's with her, but it's got his birth certificates in it. Right. His birth certificates in it. Yeah. So anyway, he's in there, and so he asks me to go to his hearing. He has a hearing, a suppression hearing. I go to the suppression hearing.
In Tampa?
No, this is up in Ocala.
Okay.
I go up there. Colby knows. Listen, Jess. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "He asked me to go. This guy's probably going to do 20 years." And they're offering him like 25 years in this.
Was the idea that you're going to testify, or he just
no, I didn't think so. He just wanted people there, support. Okay, no problem. I'll do that. This is probably not going to end well for you, you know. So, but I'll go. I'll go. He didn't have to come here and do this, you know. So anyway, I went and I did the whole thing, and the whole time I was
able to make eye contact with him.
Okay. He is a lunatic too. Like, I mean, he's in there, like, he's all looking around like the cop, like he's like making little noises, things to the, like, you know, to the cop and everything, and I'm thinking, Jesus, what the fuck are you doing? Like, the cop gets on the stand, and as I listened to the whole thing, sure enough, they fucking start talking about the prosecutor.
The cop is testifying about the fact that he recognized this guy.
Of course, I watched they pulled the body camera out. The cop's talking about how I saw him on a fucking podcast. I recognized him as soon as I got up to the window. So that's one of the reasons I knew he had drugs. He goes through the whole thing. The prosecutor is asking him about the podcast.
That's fun.
He testifies. He gets on and testifies. She's asking him. Well, she's like, "You're used to running from the cops." He said, "No, ma'am. You don't run from the police." "No, ma'am." Were you not recently on the Matt Cox Inside True Crime podcast where you bragged about running from the cops? He goes, that was all lies. All lies. And she goes,
"You're sitting there in the audience."
And I'm sitting there. And he goes, "You know I'm a liar. I'm a liar. That's what it is. I never done none of that." And I'm sitting there going, if you had just admitted it, you'd look more credible than how you look right now. He just, and you know, she just goes to, she mentions me, and every time she mentions me, the police officers at the prosecution, he's looking back at me. Look, and I'm like, listen, all I could think of is,
the cop was a fan though, right?
I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. I need out of this little podunk town. This is bad. Listen, it's horrible. The whole thing goes bad. It's just bad across the board. It's bad. And the judge is like, yeah, I'm not suppressing this, and I'm not this, and I'm not that. And they had a whole curtilage argument on him being there. But in the end, they're like, the guy was behind you. The cop had the lights on. He's behind you. there's no way you couldn't have seen him. And even if you could see him, you don't get to outrun the cops, pull into a house, and then say, "Oh, I'm on private property."
Like it's
Right.
like freeze tag, and you're in the safe zone.
That's
or
what he
whatever.
said. Like, I'm safe. He said, but and I'm looking at him, and I'm just feeling bad because I'm thinking, you would have been great at this. You could have done this. You could have been. I would have helped you. I wanted to help you.
This is a recurring theme with you.
I know,
right?
I know.
Like all these guys who,
Especially the people that he has been locked up with, I feel like he's got a soft spot for.
And Jess says it all the time. You have such a soft spot for these guys.
You do.
But wouldn't it Cook have been great?
Yeah.
He would have been great.
But
yeah, I get it. But
I get it.
yes, you're in a unique position where you make a living talking to people who have some dysfunctions and with a moral. Their moral barometer isn't always working really well, and you want to think the best of them and all that, but you just got to be careful. Be a journalist, right?
No, and what I think be
a journalist, not a social worker.
I know, but I think was wrong with. I only think he was doing what he was doing because he was trying to get the gear together to do, and he'd already bought the computer, I don't think. I think if he had an avenue to do something else, he could have done it.
That's true with a lot of criminals, though, but something has gone wrong with their moral compass, and they can't get right.
And yeah.
I guess that's something we're learning, I guess, right?
I know.
Yeah.
And I feel like if just one of them.
But your job's not to save them. Your job is to interview them.
Right.
Next question.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the next few years go.
We'll see. I think Zach
has
would
a
be
real
great.
Out of all the people.
Yeah.
Now, Tom, you're
he has
included
been arrested
in this.
twice since I've been out of prison for fraud.
Yeah.
But I think he could be great.
I wish I'm the best. I'm not rooting against these guys.
I know. I just got to get him out.
I'm as a friend, I just don't know how wise it is for you to be expending so many calories trying to make stars out of people who continue to commit crimes.
We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
Fair enough.
All right, let's see. Tom.
Yes.
What happened to the lady who left Tom a bad online review? Did she ever reach back out to Tom? Which one is that?
What?
All right. I feel so bad. I guess I went public with it. So, okay. So
I did ruin her life. She got fired from her job. She's currently living on the street. I keep tabs on her.
A woman contacted me last week and wanted me to conduct an investigation. I want to give her some amount of confidentiality because her name's out there on the internet. It's my only 1-star review. Wanted me to do an investigation that I would have ultimately hurt her and her family. Like it would have been a bad idea for her to hire me. And I'm not in the business of taking money from people to follow their worst instincts and have them do things that are ultimately going to be harmful to them.
Okay.
And so I explained that to her. Let's also keep in mind that she cold called me at 6 a.m. for a free consultation. Now, I happen to be coming back from the gym, but generally, if someone's calling you at 6 a.m., it's either an emergency or a wingnut. And so she had a wacky idea of something she wanted me to do to deal with a real situation that she had that would have been a disaster for her had I done it. And so I said, listen, I'm not going to take your money to do this because I think it's a bad idea. So if you're hell bent on having this investigation conducted, you're going to have to find a different investigator. But I appreciate you calling, and I hope it all works out for you. It was very polite to her. Mm-hmm. And then like 2 hours later, I get a 1-star review, my only 1-star Google review, going on about what a prick I am. And so I did a Instagram story about it to kind of make the point that if you want me to do something that's going to be harmful, I'm not going to take your money, right? I'm in a good position economically that I can pick and choose which clients I can do, and people call me all the time, and if I really can't help them, it would be dishonest for me to steal their money,
right? And you listen to it for free,
yeah.
I didn't charge her,
right. And so that post that I did performed very well and had a lot of discussions in there. But the 1-star review I think is still up there and hasn't been removed by Google. I mean, it might. Oh, I did a Google response because when someone gives you a bad review, you have the opportunity as the vendor to give a response.
Okay.
And so I did a response basically saying just that I don't want to get into the details, but you wanted me to do something. I said first thing anyone who's reading this needs to know is that this person was never a client of Simon Worldwide Investigations.
Right.
This is not a dissatisfied client. This is a client I decline. This is a potential client that I declined to help because she wanted me to do something harmful.
Right.
Yeah, and so bottom line is not much came of it, Colby. I think I don't check my reviews every day, but I think it still floats around out there. I did a Google strike against it because she's not a customer.
Right.
All right, so here you go. For both of you guys, do you have a framework that you follow to read people, or do you just kind of use like your gut instinct?
To read people, do you mean to assess their honesty? You think?
This is the word for word. Great show. This is for both of you. Do you have a framework you follow to read people?
I'll defer to Matt.
I was just going to say, I just kind of follow my intuition, and it's been pretty good. I'm like I feel like I'm 90% accurate on people.
Yeah.
Whether they're like telling the truth, or I think that's what they're saying,
Yeah.
like telling the truth or a good person to begin with, or although I've been off on some of these the criminals that I'm trying to help, but I also don't think I'm off on them. I still believe they're exactly the people that I thought, and I knew they were flawed to begin with.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have a whole methodology when conducting investigations on how to assess someone's honesty. It usually involves building rapport, asking a lot of questions about that I already know the answers to kind of test their honesty, and to kind of look at their body language and demeanor when I'm asking them benign questions. And then when I start asking them more challenging questions to see if their demeanor and body language changes.
I was gonna say, what about there's all those bullshit, they look to the left and they
taught us that at the academy.
Oh my God,
but it's all been disproven over the past 20 years by behavioral scientists who've actually at universities who put that stuff to work. And so, the closed stance versus open stance and looking up to the left, all that's just pseudoscience. It's nonsense.
Has Matt or Tom ever considered acting? I know you guys spoke about that a little bit last time.
Tom has acted.
I'm in a movie coming out next summer where it's a real stretch role for me. I play an FBI agent. And so when I have something to announce on that, I'll be talking about it ad nauseum. But yeah.
And I got passed on the role. It was actually a different
You were going to
role.
be playing an informant.
I was going to be playing a guy that was a fraudster informant. And by the time I sent in my tape and everything, this is what they said, that they'd already been cast, which I didn't send.
Do you know who they cast for it?
No.
He's a friend of mine. He's a gay porn star. Yeah.
I
And he's
nailed
like
that role.
He's like 6'7", giant muscle man with tattoos all over him. But it would have been funnier having you there as the snitch,
right? Because what's so funny is the guy one is a fraudster, and then when it all falls apart, he's the one that cooperates. Like it was like I was born for this. I've actually already done this role.
This is the role you were meant to play.
But
I play the FBI agent who eventually arrests the bad guy. Yeah. So stay tuned.
Okay, so there's been a couple people asking. I know we probably do this every live stream, but is there a Boziak update? Or is he still just doing his thing in Cambodia?
Boziak is doing his thing in Cambodia. He just bought a car.
Okay.
In Cambodia?
Yeah, I know. That's what I was like. I was like, bro, don't you have to be?
I've been to Phnom Penh. I would not want to drive there. It's like a hive of motorcycles everywhere.
I think it's an older vehicle. I don't know that he leaves his house that much, to be honest, because he works out of his house. He does editing for us. He edits for other people. He's actually.
And you can get a ride across the city for a nickel.
I know. I don't know why I don't know what he's thinking, but I've stopped asking what what the logic is between most of his. But he's actually doing amazing. He lives in an amazing apartment. I don't know if the video's still up that he does like a tour of the apartment building. And we're talking about this thing's like 60 stories high. I think he's on like the 30th floor in this one. The other one, like he was almost at the top, almost at the pinnacle. That was the one in Bangkok. But yeah, he's doing great. He's working out every day. He's taking like peptides or something. I don't know what, but he looks like he's on steroids. I mean, he's really blowing up. I think all of his health problems, like he has Crohn's and stuff, like he's because like the food is so, I guess there's no processed whatever. Like he's eating really well. He's doing great. He seems absolutely happy, and I don't think he's lonely. because he used to call me every couple of weeks and just talk. We would just talk on the phone for like an hour, right? And I thought to myself, it was strange because like but I realized after it happened a few times, I thought, you know what, I think he's just lonely. You know, he wanted to talk to somebody.
Isn't like his content about like how easy it is to get chicks in Southeast Asia?
No, it's not.
What did it used to be? Like I thought I saw videos of him in Bangkok just talking about.
Oh no, he did talk about women, but it wasn't just that.
All right,
but then eventually,
I thought that was he had pretty interesting content about like.
I mean,
right, but
how to get women in
Bojack
Bangkok.
can go on a rant on just about anything.
Just about anything.
Good.
And you know,
which is good for content.
But I think, but one of the things, because he doesn't really call me anymore or text me very much anymore, I think he's made a bunch of friends in there and start. You know, it takes time, right?
It was a Matt Cox success story.
Yeah.
So here's a question from an avid subscriber commenter: how would Tom catch Matt 20 years ago? Where did Candace go wrong? How many years would have taken Tom? Oh, how many years would Tom have recommended to the judge?
Well, let's start with the last question. The FBI has no part in the recommendation on anyone's sentencing. As you've seen from the game show we play, the sentencing guidelines really drive it, and the FBI agent does not get a vote in that. Would I have caught Matt instantly? Instantly, Matt would have been caught so fast his head would spin.
They said how?
How? Oh, I would have conducted a proper fugitive investigation. I would have talked.
Everybody else did.
I would have done. It would have been fine. You know what I probably would have done is figured out a way to bring you to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's gonna.
I would have put you in a movie. I would have said. I would have given you a literary. I'd say, remember that John Grisham book you wrote? I got a copy. I got a carbon copy of it. It's brilliant. Come on in. Let's have lunch and talk about making this into the film rights. Then you'd be arrested as soon as you walk in the restaurant.
I was gonna say like the guy, the Polka King.
The polka, the Tango King.
Oh, the Tango King. Yeah. He lured him in from Mexico to
put him in a documentary with Robert Duvall.
Yeah. Was it Robert Duvall?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because Robert Duvall's a tango dancer.
Is he?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I figured he knew that. Yeah.
All right, let's see. After all the interviews you've done together, what's one thing each of you believes about people today that the other one hasn't come around on yet? And who do you think history will prove right? So it's kind of
that's a tough,
it's a tough question because it's hard to you guys have to figure out.
I'm trying to think of something I really disagree with Matt about. I mean, Matt has greater faith in rehabilitation than I do for a lot of these miscreants, but I think history has borne me out.
Okay,
well, I was gonna say, the one thing is that you don't think that alcohol or that drug addiction should lower someone's
That's an
sentence.
interesting thing. Yeah, no, right. I do not think that, the fact that you are addicted absolves you of any of the responsibility of the crime and deserves a lesser sentence. I think that one's actions and the impact of your actions should drive the sentencing way more so than your state of mind when you were doing it. And I think we just disagree on that. But friends can disagree.
Yeah.
One guy says 1 week challenge, 50-mile radius, and Tom has to find Matt. Okay, so here's
flashlight tag.
Yeah, right.
So,
I'll look under a lot of really small objects.
when working in law enforcement, how do you maintain a healthy personal life while dealing with criminals, victims, and traumatic situations? What strategies helped you prevent burnout, depression,
doesn't have a
etc.?
healthy personal life.
Pretty healthy personal life. Okay, so the first thing to understand is that I'm a financial crime investigator mostly. While I did deal with some terrible, awful crimes, for the most part, I'm dealing with financial ruin of people with conmen. So the psychological toll that has on me is fairly minimal. But also, I think you just need interests outside of your work, whether you're a podcaster or whether you're a construction worker or anything else. The idea of having hobbies and interests, whether it's sports or working out or friends or playing games or devoting time to a relationship or a marriage, I think that's how you do it. And so you just got to compartmentalize and do your best to leave your work at home. I think the people who work crimes against children probably have a more difficult time of leaving their work at home. But when I worked, some crimes against children is sort of like on the periphery of kind of helping out in other cases, that hits you. Maybe you give your kids a little more of a hug when you get home after you spent a day dealing with children who are just sort of bad things happen to them. I don't want to get too graphic here on YouTube. But yeah, I just think having a diversity of interests and a support system. I don't think that for people in law enforcement, it's healthy to surround yourself only with other people from law enforcement. I think then you're kind of forcing yourself to bring your work home with you by just talking about cop stuff all day long when you're like sitting by the pool with your cop friends. I just don't think that's a healthy thing. So make friends outside the law enforcement community.
All right, so there's another $20 donation for Tom Simon's tip jar. And also, here's another question, a $10 question, or it's not even a question, but a statement. Thanks for giving me a good alternative to the World Cup. So you guys were talking about the World Cup earlier.
Oh, yeah.
How all the foreigners are coming over and experiencing America.
Yeah, we were talking about like.
Well, let's recreate that conversation. So Matt and I are both huge patriots. We both love America, and there's all these videos that are going viral of Europeans, mostly Europeans that I've seen. Maybe there could be people from other nations who are coming and experiencing the United States for the first time and are just amazed by the abundance we have by going to Buc-ee's and seeing all the food there, or going to just a 7-Eleven, a common 7-Eleven, and seeing all the different Monster energy drinks in different flavors and sizes that aren't available there, or going into a restaurant and getting free chips and salsa at a Mexican place and wondering what's gone wrong and why aren't you charging me for this, or why I could leave right now and you make no money, and the waiters are like, it's on us.
All right, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, refills on Coke. So our French guy who was just amazed that they kept refilling his Coke without charging him.
Yeah,
and I don't know, man, I get almost like teary-eyed watching those things.
Me too. So there's a whole series on Longhorn.
Longhorn Steakhouse?
Longhorn Steakhouse. They are in just amazed by Longhorn because they give them the peanuts.
Yeah.
What's funny is 20 years ago, do you remember when you used to go in and
throw
there
on the floor?
On the floor.
Yeah.
So, but now they give them they're like, oh, no, I don't want any. No, they're free. And they're like, well, what? And then they come and they bring bread and they're like, no, I didn't order any bread. And they're like, no, it comes with a table. You sit down, you get bread. It's free. And they're like, this is free. And they're like, and then the guy ate it. He's like, it was the most amazing bread I've ever had. Like everything. And then they start talking about how in Europe they're like, we're just told over and over again that you're going to America. Oh, it's dangerous.
So violent.
So violent. They're so rude. The food is horrible. And just across the board. And he's like, we're bombarded by this. He said, I got here. He said, and I was. He said, everybody's been just so friendly and so just, and everybody's willing to help. And if some guy was lost, he's like, we didn't know where it was. And they're like, they go, well, you know what? Tried to explain it to him. He said, you know what? You don't even know where you're going. Get in the car. He said, I'm going to take you there. And then he said, and then he drove me 10 minutes out of his way. He said, for nothing.
Because people are fundamentally good. You and I are hip deep in the crime world,
right?
In both of our respective jobs. But for the most part, people are fundamentally good. I mean, just in the welcoming that we've been showing these foreign nations is also touching. Like, have you seen the Norway guys doing the rowing thing? That's like their cheers. They're like Vikings rowing the boat, and the Americans joining in with that, and the crowd. It's just, I don't know. I get chills. I don't even care about the soccer. I just get chills with the cultural exchange that is happening.
Like, it's soccer? No. Is that the World Cup?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny they were talking about too. It's so funny because people don't even realize, like, they were talking about when they hold it in other countries, like they have to build a special stadium to hold it. And here they're like, I don't know, you want to do it? Where do you want to do it in Boston? You want to do it in Tampa? Let's pick a place. Where do you want? Like, we're not going to have to build anything. We got stadiums like this.
We got college
everywhere.
stadiums just with cotton balls on mothballs and during the summertime because all the kids are gone.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, and I think the second round, the USA's could probably get into playing Iran.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Hopefully our good nature will extend to that one.
Yeah.
And then Iran's going to play Saudi Arabia.
Nice. Well, this is getting good.
Okay, Tom.
Yeah.
So this
They give a lot of body searches and metal detectors.
Yeah. I may watch that one on TV.
Yeah.
So here's a paid question for you, Tom.
Yeah.
And we can kind of keep it pretty short. So,
Yeah,
Tom,
I'm sorry,
can you
I'm going
please
too
tell us more about the FBI Honors Internship Program and how to leave a good impression to be invited next summer if accepted by Elena?
I was an FBI intern. The FBI Honors Intern Program is a summer program for college kids. Normally, the preference is to find top college students who have an interest in a career with the FBI between their junior and senior year of college. The problem is that you need to apply at the beginning of your junior year, even like August or September, because you have to go through the background check. And those interns are given jobs with the FBI, working shoulder to shoulder with the agents, assisting them the way interns did. I was an FBI intern in 1991 before I became an agent 6 years later. And nowadays, the internship's way bigger. You're sitting on squads. I always made sure I included the interns in my cases and kind of took them under my wing, because I wanted to pay it forward, because people were good to me during my internship. As far as how to get it, it's incredibly competitive. I would take a look at I want you to go onto Google if you're a college kid watching this and you're interested in this, and Google FBI core competencies and take a look at what the FBI is looking for in any employee, organizing, planning, prioritizing, problem solving, things like that. And I want you to be prepared for your interview to talk about stories in your life where you showed those characteristics, where you describe the situation, tell what you did in that situation and how it turned out. But I want to warn you, the internship is incredibly competitive, maybe even more competitive than the agent position as far as the number of slots versus the number of applicants. Do not get discouraged if you don't get it. Continue to apply for the FBI for full-time jobs after you graduate, with the pinnacle being the special agent position.
What were your childhood friends like? Did you have good influences or bad influences?
Why don't you go first?
And were you able to keep those friends throughout your careers?
I'm trying to think. Like, I'd say most of my childhood friends, I don't really keep in mind. I didn't go to like a regular high school.
I went to a short bus school.
Yeah, I went to the short bus school. So I had very few friends. One of my friends was a guy named Travis Hayes, which if I texted him right now, he'd text me back. So the friends I had were probably Trent, Treon, and Troy, all of which I still talk to. Mm-hmm. And then Travis, there's a lot of T's, I just kind of realized. Travis, which if I text him right now, we've gone to dinner a couple times. I've hung out with Troy a few times. I've hung out with these guys periodically, but I'm 50-something years old now, and we don't really,
And you're not like a hangout guy.
Yeah, and I don't, and these guys aren't either. These guys don't go to football. I don't go to sports games. I don't really know anything.
Do you attend your reunions, your high school reunions?
There was like 13 guys graduated my graduating class.
Point.
There's
they don't have any kind of a reunion situation?
No.
Yeah.
No. So yeah, those Travis, I went to school with Travis. Anybody other than Travis from my high school, I have no idea who they are, where they went, anywhere.
Yeah, I was a Catholic school kid, so in the suburbs of Chicago and Washington D.C. respectively, and so the kids were they're in private school, right? Their parents, they were kids who could afford to pay tuition. Came from these weren't super wealthy kids, but they were parents who cared enough to pay tuition for their kids to go to Catholic school, so they were good kids. My group of friends were the bad kids in Catholic school, but that grading on the curve, it means like the nuns slapped us in the face a little more than the other kids. And my best friend as a child was a guy named Bill Gagan. We moved to Chicago together. We lived together from in Chicago as young adults. He was the best man at my wedding. We're still in touch quite a bit.
Do you guys have any thoughts on the UFC event on the White House lawn?
Bro, I think it's hilarious.
I think we've become idiocracy.
I love it.
It is what America is.
It really is. It's so great.
Yeah.
Do either of you think AI is helping or hurting criminals and law enforcement?
I think ultimately it will help law enforcement considerably.
It certainly sped up my investigations, my ability to create reports, to gather large amounts of information and have it kind of collated and organized for me. I mean, I have cases right now where there's hundreds of documents in PDFs that are provided to me by attorneys and by clients, and I can literally drop it into ChatGPT and say, summarize this in 2 pages for me. And so, yeah. And I imagine that the FBI is leveraging it in the same ways. As far as criminals go, criminals using AI, I guess for scams, stuff like that, voice recognition, deep fake video, stuff like that. So I think they're probably both, I don't know who's benefiting more. That's an interesting thought experiment.
I feel like they're moving so fast.
They're both, both criminals and cops are leveraging AI to their advantage.
So $5 donation from Jacob Donaldson. This is the guy that has the Bahama event potentially.
Yes.
He says,
you understand? He also has my text. He can also text me.
He gets the red carpet treatment. If he's going to take you and I to the Bahamas,
yeah, he's got my cell phone
without our wives. Forget about it.
Look
we're gonna paint the town red.
I'm gonna as soon as I walk in tonight, Jessica's gonna be like, does he think you're going to the Bahamas?
I'll make sure he behaves.
He said, "What are you guys' goals for the next 5 years? Do you have a 5-year, 10-year plan?"
I do. What's yours though?
Sheesh. I mean, the problem with mine is I'm always working on
Matt
10.
has 10 5-year plans.
Yeah, I'll work on 10 things. If I could just get one or two of them to hit, that'd be great.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, one of them is I'd love to start I'd love to somehow or another get some of the stories I've written turned into some kind of a film, something, you know. I would love to I'd love to do something with the I think it'd be interesting if we did kind of a live. And we actually spoke with some people who have done live events, right? If you and I did a live event, I think that'd be a lot of fun. I'd like to start a couple other, channels. Like we already have one channel, which is the Murder Men.
Yeah.
And we'd like to start. We're talking about possibly starting another channel. I'd love it if my stepdaughter could get her channel monetized. She's got her. She has a channel called Crime and it's Mara Shelley. It's called Crime and Curls. She's already got over 1,000 subscribers.
That's great.
She's this close to being monetized, and she needs a bunch of people to go there, subscribe, Crime and Curls, go there, subscribe, and watch the videos.
Yeah.
And she's actually doing really good little videos now. Very cute. Some of them are getting 1,000, 2,000 views, and she's doing these little shorts, and she's really trying to make it work. And it bothers me that it's not taking off
That's
as
good
quickly.
Of you, that your 5-year goal is to have her be successful.
Yeah,
you're a good man.
Listen, I'm already I'm loving life. I'm so blessed.
Good.
I would love to take Jess on a honeymoon.
Oh, you should come to Alaska cruise.
We were thinking about doing like a.
I'm using my Nate Bargatze money for an Alaskan
No,
cruise.
are you?
Yeah.
When are you doing that?
That's pretty cool.
Summer.
Next summer?
Yeah, next summer. Yeah, you guys should come. Bring your brides.
Yeah, maybe.
I guess I should answer the question.
Yes.
Right now, my income is about 80% comes from 80% investigations and about 20% public speaking, and I'd like to flip that. I'd like to do 80% public speaking and then be a little more choosy on the investigations, make that 20% of my income. I really like the public speaking and the keynote speaking at conferences. I find it just really gratifying. I think I'm good at it. The audiences go bananas, and so it's a better kind of feedback mechanism for me than the online videos where you don't really know who's watching or enjoying them.
Yeah.
Other than the comments, which I'm gratified for.
But here's a question from a high school teacher. Any advice for a high school teacher in a school where a lot of the students turn to crime? Do you have any teachers you recommend that left an impact on you? I mean, I don't know about teachers that you've had, but yeah, what would you recommend to a teacher who has a lot of kids that are going into crime, I guess?
I'll defer to you.
I mean,
is there anything someone could have
horrible.
said to you in high school that could have steered you away from crime? Anything a teacher could have done?
Well, in high school, I never even know. I wasn't even thinking about crime in high school. I didn't even commit crime till I was in my probably 29 or 30 years old. I'd never committed a crime. I never thought about it. So it was something. It was that whole. It was that what is it? What's the triangle? Where it's like I was in the right place. I was desperate for it, and I could justify it.
Sure.
So I made that choice, and but the problem. What I think she's thinking is that in her, it's probably sounds like it's an inner city, bad community, drugs, and I think in the end,
do you think those scared straight programs are good, where you expose kids to like criminals and prisoners who talk to them about what a dead end street this is? You think you like those scared straight programs that sometimes you see?
I don't.
Or like screaming at the kids.
I don't think that. I don't think that necessarily.
I asked the guy last time who had two life sentences at 14. I was like, "Is there any situation or scenario that you are not in prison or not on the streets?" And his answer was, for him personally, was just like, I had a single family household.
Yeah,
I lived with my mom, and I didn't have a male to tell me what to do.
Yeah, he said the only males in his life were people that were selling drugs or doing crime. He said they were all. He said so everybody I knew that I looked up to or that had money were all committing crime to do it. I didn't have anybody. It's like I didn't know anybody that was successful, and so I think that's one thing. That was a good point. I've actually said that several times. I think. Sorry.
I just want to give my advice to the high school teacher.
Okay.
find the marginal case and work on that kid. You're not going to be able to save them all.
Yeah, you can't save them
You can't
all.
save them all. It's not your responsibility to, right? So first of all, absolve yourself of the responsibility to make sure that none of the 50 kids in your class, because it's probably overcrowded in the city, it's your job to keep them out of prison. But find the ones who maybe that kid who's just a particularly good writer or something about him. Find the kid who has some promise and mentor that kid and keep that kid out of crime's way. And then I think you'll be doing your job.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's a horrible question. It's not a horrible question. It's just there's no. If you could answer that,
right? You got everything
Yeah.
sound right. This is an age-old problem, but the teacher seems to be internalizing and stressing over their responsibility in this thing. Where your job's to teach this kid reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Right.
It's not to keep him out of prison.
I think what's funny is I always just wonder this, and I don't even know what the reason is why they don't teach like just financial literacy and
Tell me about
credit
it. I know.
and all these things that to me, if when you were 18 years old, or let's say 20, if you're 20 years old and you put $150 a month in a what is it, a S&P 500 or and you'd be a millionaire by the time you're 60, right? If you put 200 or 250, it ends up being you end up becoming a multimillionaire. Like,
But it's more important that we teach them how to diagram sentences.
right? I don't. That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
Is like these kids don't understand how money works. They don't understand even saving. If you're like, even if it's just $50 a month, $25 a month, like the problem is that they see these guys that make money or that have money and have these things that they want, and they're not realizing that those guys will go to prison and they will lose all of that, and they will come out when they're 55 years old and they'll have nothing. And so it's not worth
If we
it.
could
but
just,
it's
if we
how
taught,
do you
if we
explain
taught
that?
Americans that there's no such thing as an investment with high rates of return and low risk,
Right.
I'd be out of business.
Right. Yeah.
My
Did
whole-
it sound too good? It sounded too good to be true.
My whole business model
Guess
is
what?
based on people not understanding that, getting ripped off, and then hiring me to save them. Yes.
Do you know how many? Listen, I mentioned this last. I think I mentioned this last time. Didn't? Yeah, I did. That Jess has a friend who's probably going to be ex-husband soon. Thinks he's in a relationship with,
Johnny Depp, Keanu Reeves.
no. This is she was on Jennifer Aniston.
Oh yeah.
Did I tell you that?
I think
And
we've
he was
had this
he was
conversation.
about to fly up
Yeah.
to New York to meet her, and then it got canceled last minute because she had to go to L.A. So then he was going to fly to L.A. and he's given her whatever probably a few. At the time it was only $500 or $600.
Yeah.
But now it's more.
Sure.
Because she's got some financial troubles with the IRS, and they've seen some same thing with Keanu Reeves things.
Yeah.
But this guy isn't stupid. Like this is
Loneliness is a powerful drug.
He is okay. He is definitely
Yeah.
definitely lonely.
I have a client who's a frequent flyer who gets ripped off in these things all the time.
I just
Yeah.
it's
And you talk to him, and he's like, I was stupid again, Tom. And this is not a stupid guy. He's a
Right.
successful guy. He's a rich guy.
right.
Yeah.
That's what always kills me is these people that fall for these financial schemes. Everybody thinks, oh well, he's got to be an idiot, but it's not. A lot of these guys you talk to, you're like, this guy's not stupid. This guy's a CPA.
Yeah.
Like this guy's got. It's like you're a manager for whatever power plant or something. Like you've got an above average IQ. Like, what are you thinking? And it did it seem strange that Keanu needed the money? He couldn't call him any of his buddies. Like, well,
Anybody that you were locked up with that you want to have on the pod that you haven't?
Oh gosh, I would love to have Donovan Davis come on. I'd even like to have Caroni come on, although gosh, the editing would be insane for Colby. Frank Amadeo would be amazing. There's I'd love to have Pete come on and tell his story, right? Like to actually come and tell his story. Yeah, there's probably quite a few guys that and these are all guys I've written books for. Listen, the James Keegan. I would love to have James Keegan, although James Keegan would never come on and would never tell you the truth. I don't think he would tell you the truth about about his real story.
I've always had a question for you. Are all of these guests traveling from far and wide to be here? Or are they sort of you do what, 2 shows a week?
Yeah,
Sometimes
probably
3 shows a week?
67, probably 70%.
Right.
What
Yeah,
would
we do 3 shows a week.
Like-
what percentage would you say are traveling?
Are traveling Yeah, you said 70.
Yeah,
I
you
think
think it's
mostly.
higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
higher. It's probably 90.
So like flying in from Los Angeles to just come tell their
California.
story with
Well,
no
it's just-
real economic upside to them.
Yeah.
exposure.
Wow.
It's exposure. And listen, by the way, I'll give you an example. Oh gosh, Colby,
What's in
what's
it
the
for
story?
them?
the story that I want to say Enrique, or the was he a Puerto Rican kid or black kid, the one that killed the
Erico,
military.
Erico. He's from the Northeast.
Erica, why can't
Like,
I? Oh yeah,
like Vermont.
no,
Or,
but he he came at his own expense, did the video, and he has texted me multiple times. Just and he's not somebody who's constantly texting. Like very few times. It was a month and a half ago, and he's texted me multiple times since then and said, "You have thank you so much. You have no idea the avenues that being on your podcast has opened to me." He said, "I've already been contacted by producers. I've been contacted by, and these are music producers, multiple. Yeah, he's like, I've been. It is absolutely. This is." A life-changing experience. And and listen, a lot of guys, they have books and they'll sell whatever.
That makes sense to me. Like,
Okay, yeah.
Kiriakou doesn't live here, right?
No.
Did he fly in just to do your show?
He flew in to do Danny's show. I had asked Danny to get me his information, and Danny, I said, we'll fly him in. And he goes, wait a minute. He said, he's coming next month. He's flying in to do my show. Why don't you just do it at the same time? I was like,
was Danny paying to fly him in?
yeah, I think Danny was paying to fly him in.
Okay, that makes
sense.
sense.
So Danny was like, I'll pay to fly him in, and we'll have him do yours too, and which was great for Danny. I appreciated that Danny would do that.
Yeah. I just wonder, because I'll do anyone's show if they're willing to fly me to them. And I don't need extra money to do it or anything like that. I just was wondering, because I know you don't pay people to do your show and you don't pay for their flight. I'm well aware of that. And it's kind of a burr in my saddle. But I have a tremendous economic upside of being associated with you, but these guys who are just some kind of some drug dealer with an interesting story who wants to come tell his story here. I'm always sort of surprised that they are willing to invest the time and money and effort into coming across the country to tell their story here.
Someone said telling stories is cheaper than therapy.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. And I'll give you an example. Jeff Turner, credit card fraudster, he flew in and did the podcast. A producer contacted him, producer screenwriter team contacted him, wrote a screenplay based on his story. They optioned his life rights twice.
Okay.
So he got paid twice from them because he didn't even have a book. But they wrote so they wanted to turn now it didn't get turned it hasn't come to fruition yet, but they're wanting to do a movie. They wrote a screen, like they've dumped a considerable amount of money into him already, and they also optioned his story.
Do you think that's your typical guest, though? Do you think your typical guest who is an ex-con comes here thinking that they can somehow monetize their story and this is the springboard to make it happen?
I would say, while you're thinking, I would say that it's mostly just someone who sees their fan, or they say, oh, this is 1 million subscribers. This is just a cool opportunity to come on a big show.
Yeah, we haven't always had 1 million subscribers. A lot of
Or
times,
a big 500,000.
a lot of times they've watched the show.
They're fans.
They've seen other guys' stories. They've said, I've got a better story than that. I like watching Matt Cox. I want to be on Matt Cox's
like it's
show.
An ego thing.
Right. I'd love to meet this guy and come on. And that happens. And there's tons of times the guys walk in, they shake hands, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. And it's like and they come in and you realize like there's no benefit, but they do have a great story and they like telling a story.
That's good.
And it's fun and they
I
tell
think
the story.
it speaks the world of you that you're such a draw for these people that they're willing to do that.
Sometimes people have books, websites, and some people are like, I don't have any links at all. Like, I don't have a single link.
Yeah.
But you know who those guys, those guys that do that, most of those guys are already like we've had guys that come in that are probably multimillionaires.
Yeah.
And they or maybe they're an attorney, that I just want to come on. And they're like, I've seen you with other attorneys. I've got some great stories. I'm going to come down.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. And
Cool.
It's like, someone said, Matt, what about Wes Watson? Would you like to have him on? You need to do it in a public space, right?
We would need a glass. No, I don't think Wes Watson would attack me or anything. Do you know who Wes Watson is? You've probably seen him. First of all, in 7 years from now, when he gets out of prison, state prison, I'd like to have Wes on. Yeah, I would have Wes on, but he's such a lunatic, like to actually sit down and try and tell his story. Like I wouldn't want to have a debate with him. I'd be interested to hear him tell his soul story.
Yeah.
A true version of here's where I grew up, here's how I grew up, here's the people in my life, here's why I started committing crime, here are the things that happened, here were the close calls, here were the things I got away with, here were here I got arrested, went to jail for this long, met this guy, did this, came back, tried to start over, it didn't work. I'd like to hear that story from him without the screaming and the hollering and all the hype. This is a guy he's a life coach who can't manage to not beat his girlfriend up or get into fights in gyms and get himself thrown back in prison, and has basically rips off anybody that gives him any money.
Do you know him?
No, but I know of him.
He's a big
influencer.
social guy.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
We did put it this way. We did several videos on him and just how insane he is and how there's something mentally wrong with him, and that a lot of his prison stories don't make sense because guys don't behave this way in prison. And so we did several stories on him, and basically I kept saying like this guy will implode. Like he's never gonna and listen. And then years went by, and I kept thinking like, how is this guy still going? And then sure enough, within a 6-month period of time, two major. I mean, he's telling people, "You got a problem with me? What? Come down to the fucking gym. We'll go toe to toe in the parking lot any fucking time, anytime." Some guy comes down in the park, comes in the gym, mouths off to him, "Hey, I'm here, bro. What's going on?" They get into a fight, but it's not a one-on-one in the parking lot. Wes attacks him. The guy eventually the guy ends up on the ground, and while all of Wes's buddies jump in, and 4 guys end up beating up one guy who's crawling away, and they beat the tar out of him. And then when Wes gets arrested, he's out on bond. He meets some chick, and she ends up going to a basketball game or something, showing pictures of herself on Instagram. She's an Instagram model, and when she gets home, he basically beats the shit out of her, and then keeps her in the. He and his 2 bodyguards keep her in the house for 3 days because she's got a scar. She's like they've super glued this cut together on her. They're trying to heal her up before she leaves.
Before they cut her loose.
Yeah, like it's because kidnapping and everything. Like you're going, and so he gets himself. He's out on bond. So So of course he's back in jail. He's back in jail trying to do coaching classes on the jail telephone. I mean. But he's a lunatic. But I would interview him.
Why not?
Because I bet he's got an interesting story, but he has to calm down.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, I just want to say I absolutely love your videos, especially the ones with Tom. You guys make my day go so much faster at work and road trips. Thank you so much. And Colby.
That's what I'm saying.
And
that's what I'm saying.
And tomorrow we got two videos filming. So you got some good ones for us?
Oh, yeah. So we got the next 2 episodes that I'm on of Inside True Crime with Matthew Cox. I have some wild stories for you. Both episodes start with stories of cases that I investigated. I will be telling my first story of a case I investigated as a private investigator that actually has culminated in criminal charges and a sentencing, and Matt's going to have to guess the sentence on that. And I'm going to tell you a story about a case that I made a massive mistake. I should have gotten chewed out a lot more, but we were able to pull victory from the jaws of defeat, get the bad guy in prison, and Matt's going to have to guess the sentence on that. And then just a whole host of absolutely bonkers stories. So watch every episode of Inside True Crime with Matthew Cox, but without question, watch the next 2 episodes that I'm on because we are going to knock your socks off.
And I got one more question because it's actually kind of interesting. Matt, do you think committing a large fraud takes the same nerve as someone who does a high adrenaline things like skydiving? Was there always a high adrenaline spike when looking someone in the eye? I guess let me just make that a little more concise. Like, what's the feeling since you've done both, from skydiving to like pulling a fraud? Like, are they comparable feelings as far as like the rush?
The adrenaline rush.
I mean, I think that skydiving is, it's different. It's over much faster, right? And it's a much more extreme, not sport, but whatever. It's extreme and it's over quickly, and it's where I think planning out and running a long-term scam is a constant rush the whole way through. Not as high, but you feel amazing kind of the whole way through. Like I wouldn't walk in and talk to a bank manager and feel like I jumped out of the plane. Like it was that kind of adrenaline. But there is an adrenaline when when everything goes right and you walk out the door, it's like, oh my God, that was amazing.
That's so interesting because I think if I was, I mean, the handful of times I've been undercover and had to commit crimes in an undercover capacity, I just have this sick feeling in my stomach the whole time. It's like this low-level nausea that like, not morally I'm doing something wrong, but this could go so bad for me, and I'm just so nervous. You know what I mean?
During that moment, I understand you feel that you're fighting with that fear, but when you walk out and it worked, and don't you?
Yeah.
I felt over the top.
I would compare that to my interrogations when I'm running an interrogation gambit on someone, kind of bluffing a little bit about how strong my case is and running psychological maneuvers on them to get them to admit to the crime. While having complete confidence that they did it, and listen, you're going to prison either way, type of thing.
Right.
I guess that's the feeling. It's like an orgasm.
Yeah. The moment they're like,
all right,
listen, here's what happened.
So sorry.
You must just like whoosh.
It's great. Yeah, and it's tough to keep the poker face.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess that's probably the equivalent. But when I've done bad things in my life, it's just a sickening feeling. But with you, I suspect I don't
understand what you're saying.
Glorious feeling.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I felt really guilty.
I think this is exactly the difference.
Okay. Someone asked for an update on Zach, a donation, and that may be the last one. Quick update.
So Zach thought he was going to be transferred to, I think it was Butler, and this was literally probably two weeks ago. He's currently in a private facility. Like if you look on the BOP locator, he's it tells when he's going to be released, but it says he's not in custody. But that's because he's in a private facility that's somewhere up in around Tallahassee.
One of those for-profit prisons where they serve you 1,200 calories a day per their government contract.
So he's getting in great shape. But he thought it like 2-3 weeks ago, it was about over 2 weeks ago, he told me, he's like, bro, they're going to be sending me any day now to, I think it was Lake Butler. And
has he been sentenced?
Oh no, this was for a probation violation.
Okay, well, how does that work? When does he get out?
So he gets out. He said he was going to be getting out in October of next year, but I want to say it says July of 2027.
Okay.
So he thought it was going to be October 2027. Yeah. So I think they took the gain time off. So anyway, so I'm waiting for him to show up. And then, because I've already sent him money, but I'm going to send him, he asked me to send him $300. He's like, bro, I'm so sorry. I was like, all right, let's just stop. What do you need? So he needs $300 for, I think an iPad, or they have like iPad, or not iPads. What do you call them? The tablets.
Tablet.
For a tablet. He's like, I really need, and I was like, I'll send you them, no big deal. And he's so funny.
You're running Father Flanagan's Boys Town.
It really is. And
you're orphans.
But he hasn't gone there yet. One, he would call me immediately, and two, I know he hasn't gone because, like, I think yesterday, the day before, I checked because I thought, what is going on? It has been weeks.
Yeah.
And he was telling me I should be leaving any day. Like, I think I'm going to be going tomorrow. I was like, okay, great. But then he didn't go anywhere. I think and I'm thinking, like, you're not a priority, man. I said, are you good? I think they just let you do your time there. He said, no, they're definitely not going to let me do it. I'm moving. They're moving. They told me they're going to move me. Okay, well, it's been 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know so I don't know. That's my thing. As far as donations are concerned, you can donate. We can leave a link. Probably.
Yeah, we had the information last time that we can see if we can get back in this description.
Probably if they move them, then that money just goes. Does commissary money follow you?
Commissary and the feds follows you because it's one account.
Oh, okay.
But he's in a private. So the private, he has to write him a letter, and they will issue a check and send it to him to the. But it takes a while. It takes weeks and weeks and weeks, and that's what he was worried about. So I was like, I'll send you the money, and then of course I have to go to Jess. Can you? Figure out how to use this system, and
she's thrilled with your convict collection.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to, you have to mail. Sometimes you have to. Well, no, you can do it on PayPal. I can do it on PayPal, or I can mail it all. Anyway, whatever.
Funny story. You mentioned Jess. You and I are going to Halloween Horror Nights together.
Yes,
and we have a VIP pass, and I have sort of two different podcast families. One is there's a comedy podcast that I appear on called Jim and Them. They're very funny, and I've been doing their show for 15 years, intermittently. Not as much as I do your show, but
I was gonna say I haven't seen that. I see your other ones will come up.
Yeah, no, this is I'm barely on the show anymore. They're just friends at this
Okay.
point. But every year we get together and we go to Halloween Horror Nights, and they invest in this VIP pass. And this year I'm so thrilled that you and Jess are joining us. And so it's kind of like my two little podcast families are getting together. Jim of Jim and Them, he would see my videos with you, but he didn't know who you were, so he had no real context. And so when I provided the names, he calls of you guys so he could get you on the VIP list. He calls me a couple days later. He's like, "Dude, do you know about these people?" And I go, yeah. And I go, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "I Google Matt Cox's name. He's like a con man who went to prison." I go, "Yeah, that's like the premise of his show." And he goes,
No, he really went.
And he goes, "And this Jess girl's a meth dealer." He goes, "Who are you running around with?" And I go, "Jess is clean and sober." And I go, "She had some issues. There's lots of people who've had issues. She's great. She's beautiful. She's wonderful. She's charming." And I go, "And I promise you, Matt's not going to con anyone as we're going from haunted house to haunted house." So they're cool. These are very successful podcasters. I think you guys would have a lot of fun together. And so, so that was a very fun conversation.
Someone said, "I hope we can get footage of Matt getting spooked." So we'll have to give Jess some Ray-Ban meta glasses to record the whole thing.
Yeah. Listen, when Jess will scare me or something accidentally, bro, it's something I would never want filmed.
Have you done Halloween Horror Nights?
No, I don't mean Halloween. I mean, like, if I walk around the corner and she's there, I'm like, ah! That kind of thing. When she's just like, "Oh my God, please."
Says, "Tom, be prepared for Matt to hide behind you and hold your hand in the haunted
I
house."
do not. I don't. Listen, I'm actually really
Profiles
because I
encouraged.
know it's coming. So I'm usually pretty. You know what I do? I do because I don't want to be touched. I'm very concerned about.
They don't touch you. They're not allowed to touch you.
I know that. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It makes no difference.
Yeah.
You know what scares me every time? The guy with the chains, when they pull the chainsaws.
Yeah.
They don't have
In the scare
blades.
zones.
I get it.
Yeah.
I don't care. I don't. It scares me. It bothers me. I don't know what's. It's like having a gunshot at you. Oh, they're blanks. I don't care. There could be a not blank.
Oh, so you think that they might accidentally bring a chainsaw
Maybe
with an
there's
actual chain?
maybe
in
there's
it?
a chain on there. I don't know. There's an engine. It's hot. There's stuff
You would
happening.
own Universal Studios if they cut off your arm.
I went to the very first one ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was. I've never seen one like it
It's
since.
awesome.
It was.
It's one
it
of my
was
favorite nights of
off
the year, every year,
chain
yeah.
The first year,
Yeah.
because obviously they whoever was insuring them had no idea how crazy they were going to get.
And once you do the VIP pass, or they call it the RIP pass, you never go back.
Oh, okay.
You never go back
With
to
the
like
commoners?
you never go. Yeah, you don't go back to. You're really like, "Hey, could you ask the people in line to stop making eye contact with
Don't
me?"
look at me. Can we get someone to hold a shield so I don't have to look at these
Yeah,
people?
the pores. Yeah,
The unwashed. Look,
the great unwashed.
dude, I'm gonna have so much fun with Jess because when I make jokes like that, it really bothers her.
Yeah, but it's a fun group. We're gonna have so much fun. I'm psyched for that. For speeches, content, everything, it's Simon Investigations. Anyone needs an investigation done or a free consultation, SimonInvestigations.com brings you to me. Simon Investigations is my YouTube channel. It's my TikTok channel. It's my Instagram channel. Follow me, but mostly watch me on Inside True Crime with Matthew Cox. We do some fun stuff together.
Thank you very much. See ya.
Be cool.